Meow. Meow. Shit. Will I have safe mode? Why do I have safe mode? Go away. Chat. Big surprise, but it's very scary. Ooh. Am I on the funny mic? Why is it so vibey? Holy shit. Oh yeah, I was on the funny mic. There we go. Good mic. Good mic. Why is this song vibing so much? Holy shit. Wrong camera. Wrong camera. Wrong camera. Chat, I got a surprise. Ah, fuck. I got the VR in the wrong resolution too. Let's go. I love my... Don't you guys love me? You love me, don't you? Okay, let me... Maybe like a little bit higher. A little bit higher. A little bit higher. Hey, I think I got it right. Chat, hello. I want to put this song again. This song was really vibey. Mayu, I have so many surprises for you today, chat. There's a potential of everything getting super omega fucking scuffed, but if you disregard that, it's kind of pretty cool. Alright, microphone all sounds good. Everything sounds good. You guys are all okay. Nothing changes. Show us the thingies. Okay, hold on. Hey, you saw it. Okay, chat GPT. Hi. A lot of surprises today. Okay, so I have like really weird dumbass VR gloves. So just so you know what's going on. I think the song is too loud, right? Look at it, Zuko. Ah! Cat. Meow meow meow. Meow meow meow. Alright, let me put the song down because I cannot hear myself. This is a super cool song. Stroking gloves. It's jorking. I'm jorking it, chat. Jorking it gloves. I don't know why I said this. I'm sorry. I apologize. How you be, by the way? Okay, I think this is okay. I think this is okay. Can you show? I will show how they look IRL. I just need to set up the things. But... Okay, so... Hi. Middle finger test. Yeah, I probably shouldn't get this wet. Still dying but surviving, same, bro. Well, I hope you all had an amazing week. This tracker is like not being covered by any... Come on, there you go. So I still... Oh god, this is so... If I ban anyone by accident, I'm sorry. Has more human-shaped fingers. Yeah, we'll switch to the viewer so you can say. I just wanted to show this off. I got this adoptable. I saw it. I forgot the name from the person who was, but I got this adoptable on Twitter. I was just scrolling, right? Oh, look at that! It's so like the movements are so cool. I can do the thing. Excellent. What the fuck? This is so weird. Oh, but do you like it? So I was scrolling to Twitter. And I saw someone selling this, and I'm like, I'm just gonna bid. I think I got it for like 30 bucks. It looks like me, and then like it's like a calico, and it's a male. This is really rare, by the way. But so just so you know, chat, I am full degen mode. Okay, let me tell you before this falls. I have a Quest. So I am wireless. I have a Quest Pro with face tracking, wireless headphones. Wireless mod mic, finger tracking gloves with thunder trackers on top because you need to have thunder trackers on top so they sync with your headset, full body, and the gloves have controllers on them. And I have the power bank. Spread fingers. You can't really see on this one. Yeah, so do you see what I mean? It's like... Ooh, this one's lagging. I've been working on this for like the past few days. I'm trying to get this together, but yeah, they do like some weird channel switching. I'll explain everything. They don't have touch feedback thingy. They do. So your ping setup will go crazy. You can actually grab things. You can grab like a bottle and shake it if you want to. You know. This is still such an early thing. they actually sent, by the way, disclaimer, I got sent these gloves for free, so I do have an affiliate link, but I need to test more before I actually, like, agree that this is good. This is the first test, by the way. I've never used it in VR. I just got it to work, and now I'm in. So the cool thing about these gloves is, so do you know how in VR, yep, god damn it, in VR, you can actually use your hands already if you have a Quest Pro. You can use hand tracking. The problem is you don't have any way to move yourself, right? So the problem, what happens is they have some gestures that you can do this, and like you look like an idiot, like trying to go around. But on this, you have a controller. So I have a controller on my index finger. I have a controller, so I can actually like use it as there's a joystick on my finger and 2 buttons. So I can just do this and pretend I have a controller, and actually can like move around pretty smoothly. It's really cool. And then you just open him. So yeah.
Since you didn't read my message from before, I want Devil Dogs to use the tweet from Tuesday as an intro scene.
You have to bribe Devil Dogs. Do you see how smooth this is? I can be like, hello chat.
Lizard.
Welcome. So do you have still to use a controller? No, the gloves have controllers on the fingers. They have like a tiny joystick. I can try and show you, but there's like a high chance you're just gonna see my ball, like my crotch. So I don't really... It's kind of dangerous. I mean, I can hold the phone with the one hand, I guess. Maybe. How does this compare to index controls in your experience? Okay, so that's a hard one. Look! Like, It's so expressive, like, wait, can I do the meme? I can actually scratch myself. Okay. But so they're really good. Oh, hi chat. You guys kind of horizontal offset. Hold on, let me. There we go. So this is one problem. I actually have one good feedback about the gloves. So they have the joystick and 2 buttons, but on VR you usually select with the trigger, right? So you actually, to select with the gloves, you need to pretend you're holding a gun and literally just go like snap, 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 snap. So like it's kind of, I think they should have an extra button, like 3 buttons instead of 2. But I think I'll get used to it. It's just a matter of getting used to it. But so the things about these gloves, I haven't tested them in many games, but if I was playing something like Beat Saber, I think I prefer the index controllers. This is more expressive. Like it's better for games like, for example, maybe Half-Life Alyx, where you're actually grabbing things and like gun games that are like gun physics. But like competitive stuff, I think the index controls are still good. Because it will look weird. You will have to pretend, unless you hold a stick, you can kind of, actually, you could grab just a stick and pretend it's a saber and go, I think Ricard lost thought. This is so accurate though. It's really cool. It's really cool. Are those the Capto? No. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you. I got a deal. Like they sent me. They deserve it. They work. So it's the UD Cap. UDX Real is the name. These are the UD Cap VR gloves. You can Google them if you want to. The only limitation is, like, they don't track themselves. You need to have trackers, but they give you tracker adapters. So I use Tundras, so I'm using the Tundras, and I don't feel any weight using the Tundras. It's really good. This is grab a stick. I can kind of look. How do you spell UD Cap? I think UD. Just search UDX Real, like whatever. Which is a deal breaker to me. Not to me, because I already have them. Like, that's it. And it kind of avoids getting like into the whole, you know, getting a new ecosystem, a new type of tracker and whatever. And it gives you more options, because these gloves are really UD Cap, I think. UD, no, not ID, I think it's UD Cap, UDX Real. They're blue. I kind of like these more white ones. You know why? You have a lot of options. You can take, so I tested them in Warudo on desktop. You can take the trackers off, and you can just use the gloves as the fingers and the camera as the arm. So there's a lot of things you can do. Yeah, you decap. Yeah, I have those ones. The only problem is I think they're really like UDX really at that. I do have an affiliate link if you want to buy them, but I was kind of waiting to test. I still want to test a little bit more because they have not issues, but it's really hard to set up, by the way. Like, you need to know a little bit of VR and like kind of tech stuff, and there's like a lot of reading. There's like, it's new, so like now I can just turn them on and it works. Because but at the start it was really overwhelming. I was like, holy shit, there's so many things to read, like gloves and like calibrations and like whatever. Oh, actually, let me calibrate them. You're gonna hear something. It's really cool. So you can calibrate them while in VR. If the hands start getting like a little bit like wonky, you can click this button.
Make a fist. Bring 5 fingers together. Spread 5 fingers apart.
Can you hear them?
All set.
There you go. Can you hear that? It's really cool though. Like you can, it's because I don't know what technology they use, but it's really cool. Scary lady. Spread 5 fingers apart. Oh no. No, DX lady, don't spread them. Okay, let me get the smoothing string. I keep clicking stuff by accident. There you go. Do spread them apart. Pull it, twist it, bop it. Touch me. Wait, can I do the thing? Hold on. Very important. Oh, it's not perfect. Actually, it is perfect. There's just this cat has like a. Spread your cheeks. Hold on. That's not the cheek, but here we go. Okay, let me switch to the Vue. I'm getting used to this. Like switching up stuff now. Let's do Snowy Vue. I haven't used the Snowy Tar for a while. Snowy Tar? Such a weird name. I haven't used it in so long that you can see it loading. Okay, so this is how it looks like on a normal avatar. So it has more human hands, and you know you can see it better, and you can spread your fingers. You can do like a V, like you can move them individually. How to play this time, bro, puppy? I can touch you, okay? In 4K. Look at this. Wow. Oh, I grabbed you by accident. I'm sorry. How do you use space drag? I remapped it to the double touch. So you can double click and just do this. I'm almost done. Oh, fuck. It looks way better. It's super expressive. That's my favorite thing. I can like talk to you and like, you know, ooh, who's over there? Oh, who's over there? Hey, Chad, look. It's gay! And I'm like... Where is it, thick ass? Do you want the Umbreon? I'm just gonna be known as the Umbreon. You know what's funny, puppy? Shooting a gun using a proper items will look in the world. Shooting a gun, actually doing this. Like, doing this. Grabbing, literally grabbing. Like, you just do the movements. Like, does it have anything grabbable here? I don't think anything is grabbable here. No. I gotta stay here on the shadow. It's a snowy. I can't. But the cool thing, does the trigger feel natural or is it kind of fucky? It has some resistance. So like, I think you would get tired after a while. Not gonna lie. Like, I think you would get tired, but it looks pretty cool. In my opinion...
No longer will you be the Portuguese Oreo. You
Portuguese
are now the Portuguese Umbreon.
I'm fine with that. Oh, I can't pick my nose now on VR. Ah, man. God damn it. And you kind of use 2 gloves, and like there's another Portuguese. You didn't fucking know? It's been like 3 years, bro. You talk about Norwegian? No, I moved here. What the fuck? Think like when you pull the trigger. Does it? Keep in mind, okay, so keep in mind, there's a lot of settings on this. There's like smoothing settings. There's there's a whole desktop application like overlay. There's a lot of things like you can change. I'm using just vanilla. I set up to the Thunder trackers, and I'm just using it as they come out of the box. But this has a lot of settings. I haven't messed with them, and it also depends how far you are, because it has one dongle for each hand. That's the part I don't like. It has a dongle, and you can have to spread them, so it's an extra 2 USBs. I have a Thunder dongle, so I don't really have that issue. But yeah. I got so lucky. My index controllers broke, and now I can use this. And I'm so much more expressive. It's so cool. Lizard, you're Portuguese. I thought you were a lesbian. I thought you were an American. You're a great friend. Puppy just disappeared for like 2 years. Then she comes back. I was like, hey, Snowy. I'm like, what the fuck? Where the fuck were you? Come back here. The cool thing about the gloves is I can be like, think Puppy may be gay. This is so funny. Startup work anyway, just launching stuff. So the way this works is they have their own program, and it runs in admin mode. And in their settings, they say, "Oh, your SteamVR needs to run in the same mode." I'm like, I just ignore that, and it works. So the way this works is you start their program, and then you start SteamVR, and it's also added to the startup like after the first time. So I use my Quest, so my startup is a little bit weird, but the way I do it is I turn on my Quest, I plug into I turn on Steam Link, I turn on my head tracker because I have a tracker on my head, and then you have to go to the gloves software and just click connect to SteamVR, and done. It works. It's just the connect button. Maybe they could make it automatically, but you have like a connect button. But my software is really like is it esoteric? My setup is a little bit unique, okay? This is like, don't judge by what I do. In the index, it's even easier because you can use the index to sync the trackers on your hands. Right now I have a tracker. I have so many trackers, it's insane. I'm coming for the better part of 2 years. Yeah, I would say it's a really good product. Like I think it's usable. If you're a really hardcore VR user, I think you could get this. I am not gonna lie. Like I'm really happy. I was a little bit skeptical, but I don't know about durability yet. I'm using it for like 1 day. At that point, just to get full mocap. I was thinking about getting a Rococo suit before I kind of took my big VR break. Not good. Like I've been tempted to get just a full suit and then just do desktop with this. Like, not gonna lie. But these work in Warudo, so I'm gonna use this in Warudo. It's gonna be interesting. How would you wash the cloth pad? You can just take it off. You can. So the gloves come with 3 things to wear. One of the things I have no idea what they are. It looks like a wrist wrap, so I don't know. The other thing is an internal glove. So there's an internal glove on this to like kind of like a fingerless glove to just like as like a layer to prevent, you know, dirt and nut to go everywhere. And then you have the external layer. You can wash the external layer. You just have to remove there's like a box, like there's a box on the top. You can see it. Look, you remove the box and you can wash it on a washing machine. Oh no, by hand. Don't wash it on a washing machine. Just have more control. If you guys want to issue with the finger tracking and drifting pretty bad, the joystick and button placement was suboptimal. The joystick and it gets a little bit used to get used to it, but you just make a fist.
One suit from Ready Player One with an omnidirectional run pad would be the ultimate VR experience XD.
I can go extra degenerate and get my my haptic suit, and then I'm like, bro. I'm like full degen. Oh, I don't think there's a... So Puppy, actually, I saw a suit. I forgot the name, but there's a suit that works on like desktop like tracking stuff. I don't know even VR, but there's a suit. gloves and like full suit that works in Warudu and like VTuber bullshit, and it's like 1k, I think. So I was keeping a tabs on that one, and I just forgot. I work on join a hi Kira. Boops, I can boop you. Yeah, it's really cheap if you can like, yeah. It's around 1 or 2, I don't remember the name. Was it Rococo? I think Rococo is the expensive one maybe. Search Rococo tracking suit, I think it's that one. I'm pretty sure it's that one. Also, I'm sitting like now because I'm like really exhausted. I had like a really long week. Like I've been taking like I've been doing interviews to hire new people, and like we had like big huge demo of like a thing we're doing, and I basically joined the company 3 months ago, and I became a fucking project manager. Like ugh, it's I just want to program, man. God damn it. You're employed and following. You don't fucking sub to me! What do you mean? I can't work full-time creator because you're poor. That's so funny. It's a joke, by the way, okay? I'm so happy my car is fully working and it's so freaking cheap to get prepared. Fuck you. Oh, I grabbed my tongue. Can I grab my actual IRL tongue like
Did you wash your ass today?
Yo, puppy, thank you so much for the tier 3 months of tier 1. I'm going to my job right now and slapping my manager. Fuck this. Right, hold on, be right back. I'm quitting. I'm quitting right now. No, I love my job. I actually love my job. Unironically. Hi, Troop. Hi, welcome. I hope you're okay too. So I just work as a software engineer, and I've been like, kind of not going up in the company, but we had a lot of interns and students from academies, like coding stuff, and I've been teaching them. So, like teaching and managing them and like building a new thing from scratch. So like, it's a weird thing. I always said like when I was finishing my degree, I'm like, I don't want a PhD. So like I quit my PhD in half, and I was like, I don't want to teach. I don't need a PhD. Fuck this. And now I came here and I'm teaching, and I'm like, god damn it. I'll keep you in a housing kit. Don't worry. Can I live in your couch? Bro, I'm really easy to take care of. All I need is my own room, a gaming setup, 1 gigabit of internet, and food. That's it. And maybe jerking a little bit from time to time, but like, that's just optional. Yeah, but the mattress, bro, that's like, no, I'm sorry. I need my own room with space to move around in VR, okay? How would I ERP without my own room? No. How am I gonna have like... I'm so disappointed, man. The problem is that now you can actually see my disappointment. Endless money, such a life. Sugar daddy, we need a sugar daddy, okay? If you're a sugar daddy, we'll accept you, okay? You can get me, Sakura, and goods. It's fine. You can, like, if your net worth is above 100 million, it's free. I wanna shut up. By the way, half of the things I said are a joke, okay? Wait, let me... Puppy's like, let me in, I'm trying to fuck. Oh shit, I horizontal shifted you. Fucking get rotated, chat. Get rotated, nerd. Hi, come here. Wait, how do I...
Lizard.
Ow! Snaps you. Lizard. Lizard.
Lizard.
Oh, I spy a Fuffly Guru. Hi, Red Squirrel, hi! So, tomorrow, chat, we're gonna have You Laugh, You Lose again, and we have the potential of a guest. They got COVID. Nice timing. Whoa. They got COVID after I think it was after I invited, or before, and I was like, but it's a person that I don't know them personally, but I love their content and I think they're underrated. So I was DMing them, like I DM'd them. I've been trying to reach out, but I was so scary. I was like, hey, like I really like your edits. Like if you ever want like a character to be on your shorts, like you can let me know, and I can like give you like a things. And they were like, oh, I mostly use Blender, so I don't know how to do that. But like if you ever, they like kind of like reverse card, and I.
Lizard.
Listen, you little shits. I'm trying to have a nice conversation. I can point at you now with anger issues. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Lizard.
Okay, it's fine. Sorry, I was joking it too hard.
Lizard. Lizard. Lizard.
Point at me harder.
Lizard.
You know what I can do?
Lizard. Lizard.
Oh my god, I have face tracking and fingers.
Lizard.
I just
Lizard.
realized.
Lizard.
I have tongue tracking and like
Lizard.
spreadable fingers.
Lizard. Lizard.
Okay, I'm stopping. I'm stopping. I'm stopping.
Lizard.
I'm answer. Man, I'm a disappointment. You're like 20 years, 29 years being raised, you know, on a family. And now you end up like this. Why did I come back here? I forgot, man, I have hands. Oh, I can crack my knuckles while in VR now. Oh, that's so cool. 5 years of watching it does too. Colonel.
Colonel.
Trying to sneak around,
but
but
I'm
I'm
dummy
dummy
thick.
thick.
And the
My clap of my ass cheeks keep alerting the guards. That's that thing. We gotta finish Metal Gear. So I think tomorrow, after the You Laugh You Lose, I'll switch to Metal Gear. 5 years, man. Yeah, I'll hold your pee. Here we go. You're welcome. You're welcome. Mwah. Oh, by the way, how's the like how do I open my menu? Hold on. My overlay. Ooh. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, and I just grab it. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It works for me. Pug. Let me know, by the way, chat, if anything like goes away and like freaks out or whatever. Just tell me, cause I'm getting used to it. Like it's a little bit weird to like, for example, right now, like, oh, I want to see something in my dashboard. I gotta click there. It's like so finicky, but I can click here. Yeah, I'm gonna get used to this with time. It's kind of like starting.
so finicky,
Shut the fuck up,
yeah.
me. I'm gonna get used to this with time. It's kind of like. Okay. Can you like stop talking? Thank you so much. But yeah. What did you want to say? I kind of forgot. Not gonna lie. Kind of forgot. So I can just do this now? Or this? Shit, I activated safe mode.
Roadrunner.
Oh, this one, okay. I gotta turn off safe mode. There you go. Oh, the controls are like inverted. Oh, you have to... Oh, okay, I get it. A, B. Okay. So jump and then menu. Oh, fuck. Activate safe... How do you activate safe mode again? I keep forgetting. Well, anyway. Meep. I guess you are too silly. Listen, okay? Just because you're here for 5 years doesn't mean you have the right... Should I go drive a car? I kind of want to see how driving works on this. This is gonna be really bad. You're gonna Furby made for you. Furby me, fodder. I was actually I was talking to someone recently. I forgot who they were. I was talking to someone and they were showing me like an avatar. And I'm like, oh yeah, like this is like person called Foodman that makes it sound like... I was like, of course. I recognize that style. I'm like... I forgot who he was. Who was it? I'm trying to remember. It was in my DMs. I've been reaching out to people to get like more You Laugh You Lose guests, but I completely forgot who I talked to. We're like sharing fucked up avatars, I'm pretty sure. Who's online? Let's see who's online. 7. I don't really have anyone online that's like my friend. I need to make my chat. Can we be friends? Can we be parasocial? I want to be parasocial, okay? I'm your best friend, chat now. Trust me, okay? I can go online. It's okay if you don't want to, man. Hey, RGB, thanks so much for the raid. Imagine being my mods and hating me. How dare. Nah, it's really early on a Friday, like 9 PM. People are like existing and having a social life. Nah. Would that be a good thing? Yeah, there will when goods is like better, I guess. I keep telling her you guys miss them, but they're like, no, everyone hates me, and I'm like, no, you're just, that's in your head, you're dumb. Rocket League. Oh, Rocket League! I was playing Rocket League before I joined. I play a lot of Rocket League offline. Who the fuck hates goods? The only person who hates goods is themselves. It's kind of better to describe it. That's kind of why I haven't seen this guy. It's been a little bit rough this month. Let's just say like that. I don't want to tell too much about everything, but we'll manage. Hopefully, you know. Hi, Foxy Seal. What is that thing you have? Place cake? Don't worry, I hate you. Thank you so much. You know why you hate me? Because you give me games and then I don't play them. We love her. I know! Everyone does. I'm just going through my list of friends. I want to arrest people with my gloves, you know, and like touch them, but no one's online. I don't want to touch strangers. That's kind of weird. I'll be playing all over the weekend. I just usually free that. I usually play like just randomly. Are you good at the game? Depends if you're good. If you're good, I'm free. If you're bad, I'm probably busy. I'm joking. Let me buy a Hollow Knight and Seal song. Hey, I'll take it. I mean, add me on Steam if you want. Touch my ingrown toenails and inflamed tissue around it. I can like go around your toenail like with my finger, like really like accurate now. Like whoa. And oh yeah. I've never played neither of the Helldivers I gave you. I don't know why. I'm not gonna lie. I've barely had time to like. The only time I have, I've been trying to finish Cyberpunk. And oh, look at the hydration, by the way. I can just grab shit because my hands are free. So like, I have a cup here. I can just grab it. Oh my god, you're gonna see me do the pinky thing. Yeah. Pick that goal 2 member to squad defend in English lobbies. I'm joking. We can play if I have time. Need a pinky razor? When I have VR stuff on me, yes, it's way more useful. Oh, it's just the most of the dog shit. Oh yeah? What happened? Oh, it's just crashing? I am feeling a little bit warm with the gloves, because they're gloves. So like, if you live in like a really warm place, maybe you need to be careful with this. I do have the under gloves, so I should try and probably play without them, see what happens. Oh, chat. I need your help. I bought a used dryer recently, because winter is coming. Fingers playing left to right work? Nah, No. Foodman, come here. You're not supposed to. You can like stretch them, and I think I need to calibrate a little bit now, because I've been moving a little. Whoa! Let's see if it gets better.
Make a fist. Bring 5 fingers together. Spread 5 fingers apart. All set.
If you pinky promise me to play both games, I will buy it for you. Just need the friend code from Steam.
I'll DM you if you want to. It may take me a while. I'm gonna be honest. It may take me a while. I'm like really busy. Like I've been playing Cyberpunk to try and finish it. I haven't touched it in like a month almost. Like it's real life, man. I bought a fridge. I bought a fridge and a dryer. What is this? Like, why am I buying Squeeze tight. Spread them. Slowly move your like oh. Sakura's doing. She's in the living room. Just like vibing. Kind of resting from like her shitty job now. But yeah, it's been like a really stressful month because, you know, moving, bought new fridges. Like, yeah. Sorry, Laffy Luz. I do want to make one. I could technically do one IRL if I put the videos on the screen and just put a camera on like a living room and get like everyone together. It'd be kind of cool. Primer Stock experience property for the first time. It's not poverty. It's like I could have bought a GPU. I could have upgraded my PC. But no, I'm buying a fridge and a dryer and like a clothes rack and an iron. I'm like, what the fuck? And now my stove, my induction stove broke. So we had to cut it out and then the landlord is gonna buy a new one to put it in. I'm like, ugh. I'm like, when I used to live with my parents, this didn't happen. This, like, what do you mean? Like, the fridge, chat, I brought the fridge. Used fridge. I think it's just broken because the food doesn't appear. Like, whenever I open the door, there's no new food. I'm like, bro. And like the washing machine. Like, whenever I put clothes on the floor, it doesn't clean them. I don't know, man. I think I got scammed. This house is broken. A Walmart camping stove. Oh my god. I bought a Samsung microwave. It's a really cute microwave. I have like a black theme on the things. How does typing work on the gloves? Well, let me just type something for you. Hold on. I do have a quest, so it's really hard to see. Let me. There you go. It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird. Touch a keyboard in space. Because the gloves had like an extra layer, so it's basically like putting some like really thin gloves and trying to type. It's a little bit weird. You can use your phone though. Like it has touch, like it has those touch thingies. The capacitors or I don't know what the fuck the name is, but you can use your phone. Oh, the virtual. I don't. Hold on, let me bring it in. Let me bring it in. Can I touch it? Oh shit. I'm zooming. Ah, there you go. Oh, I wrote this by accident. Penis. Can I like hit them? It'll be better if it worked like the quest one, where you can just like, you know, hit stuff like blah, 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 blah. Don't buy this if you want to type really fast. That's what I mean. Because you need to like do the sniping thing. There you go. I recommend these gloves for expression and if you do a lot of social VR. If you do a lot of gaming, I don't think you should buy this. No, it is functional, but you have to mimic, you have to pretend you have index controllers. Can I just grab... Oh, honestly, what if I just grab the index controllers and like hold them when they're off? It probably works. Like blah 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 blah. No, it is functional. It is functional. Yeah, let me get up a little bit because I'm gonna get the blow. The blow? Yeah, I'm gonna get the blow shit. I'm doing drugs now on this stream, by the way. This is like a new thing I found out. I keep getting the buttons wrong. Drugs? Yeah, we're doing drugs. There you go. And then I just do this. There you go. We're fucking having drugs tonight, shit. Ugh. Let me do a calibration though quickly. You lose a lot of sensation. Oh my god! The one thing I noticed is you lose a lot of like sensation, so like feeling things. So don't expect to jerk it too much with this. Okay, just calibrate. Then do like the L shape. Yeah, perfect. Because I was in... Oh god. Let me just put my power bank. Where the fuck is my cable? There you go. Butt tracker, best tracker. The butt tracker when you're standing is the best. Woo. Boy, it's getting really hot in here. Let's do some world hopping. And yeah, there you go, Pog. Is today Friday? Today's Friday, yeah. I was thinking, chat, about starting to stream the community, like meetups. Maybe doing some games. Ooh, did we miss? Oh no, the meetup is tomorrow. Wait, no, it's tomorrow. Never mind. I keep thinking it's Friday. I don't know why. Oh, should I try fishing? You know what? Let's try the fishing world so we can test while breaking our own rule. I'm feeling more social lately, okay? Meh, 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 meh. Touch the fish. Okay, let me see. Oh. Socializing. Me. I'm security event on tomorrow. Tomorrow I have You Laugh You Lose, so probably not tomorrow, but I'll try and join on Sunday. He wants more hugs. Exactly. Oh fuck, I just realized I have a really hot shirt. I have like a warm shirt. So this is probably not the best one for like VR. Alright, let me see. So now I'm gonna attempt, chat, to demonstrate how it feels to play. I never played anything on this. So let's see. Okay. Just grab it. Then bucket. Just put the bucket here. And like, how does this work? Just throw it? Oh, do I have to like hold it? Release to throw. I forgot how you throw this actually. Oh, okay, there we go. Let me put some world sounds. The clicking gets the clicking on things gets way better once you get used to it. Come on. I'm definitely getting faster while I use them. Oh shit! Ugh. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. They're actually really good. This fucking bucket, bro. There you go. No, I like it. Oh, sorry, I kinda fucked up. There you go. Can we fish too? We didn't get your secret items. Oh yeah! Yeah, let me fish. Let me turn on the fish for you. Where is it? Where's the home? Peak toolkit, no. Don't tell me I cannot like set up things in here. Oh shit. Okay, this wasn't a glove problem, it was actually a Steam VR problem. Show VR games first. Oh, I know, it's not a VR game. Can I search? Fish. Workbait, yeah, there you go. Let's see if it works. Does it work? Oh. Oh yeah, it is turning on. Yeah. Oh, Oh, that's cool. Temporary chatbot outage. Yeah, it's fine. Turn auto hide off. Change weather. Test cast. Okay. Exclamation point fish chat. Try. See if it works. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so, chat. While you guys fish... while you guys fish, I'm gonna try and show you the gloves, like IRL. From what I remember, my SRT is broken except when I use the external network, which is pretty weird. So if I do a local OBS SRT... You're live at the local OBS SRT. Oh shit, it actually works locally. You're live at the local OBS SRT. Oh shit, it actually works locally. Okay, I muted my thingy. So chat. Oh, that's pretty cool. It works. So ignore my keyboard. I'm gonna buy a new one. This is the glove. So this is how it looks like. You have this thing over here, and you have the thunder tracker, and the only thing I would do is replace the cable. Stop looking at the fucking keyboard, okay? But my favorite part about this glove is the controller on the finger. See this? You can just do this. Oh my god! I swear to God. It's not dirty. It's losing fuck you. There you go. There you go. This is what you get. Like, my favorite part is this. This is the buttons. So whenever you want to have a controller, you do this, and there you go. You have the A, the BA, and then same thing on the other side. You just do this, and then you have BA, and these little weaves are the sensors that like stretch and they track your hands. It is pretty cool. I swear to God, man, it is not dirty. You asshole! I'm gonna bonk you. Why so? Why is it no Medcast Strike 37? I'm shocked. Can you watch them? You can. The little square I showed you with the cable and the controller on your finger, they detach and you can wash them. I've had... Okay, listen. I'm pointing. I have had this keyboard for years now, okay? It's a Portuguese layout in Norway. I don't want to get a Norwegian layout keyboard. Oh. Chat, we may have an issue. Why can I see view intuitor floating world? Can I disable lurk fishing? So lurk fishing is kinda on the middle of my screen. It's like in theater mode. Can I? Oh, return to dashboard and then... Okay, yeah, I took it off. Yap. What do you mean yap? You're on a stream. I will fucking bite you, okay? You're being evil. You're being evil. I don't know why Warrens hates me so much. For someone who's like super gay. But anyway. It's an issue, not an issue. Okay, listen. I can go there right now and slap you. But anyway, let me test my more fishing. Oh, holy shit. This is pretty cool. Oh, Domino, hi. Hold on. Sorry, Domino. Come on. Oh, shit. I think I'm faster with the gloves than with the index controllers. I actually think I'm faster with this.
Did you wash your ass
No,
today?
thank you so much for the sub. Head pet. Oh, mama. Ow! I bonked my closet. I am curious. Maybe when we do a meetup, I will like put the vest and stuff. But like, oh, this is so exciting! Ah! I can do the way like, I can do the Macarena. Oh, I love this. Keep cranking your fist. It's really okay. I gotta forget. Oh shit! How did it work again? You like, you let it go? Yeah, there you go. You let it go. Okay. I can actually do this way more. Dory brain everyone. Why does everyone hate me? I swear to God. I am here for your entertainment, okay? Because we're lonely on a Friday. You're supposed to enjoy this and like me. Hi, Domino. Hello. Look, 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 look. We can headbutt Domino with real hands. Ah, oh, so cool. Oh shit, fish, 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 fish. No, I lost it. Right, what if I turn the camera here? I'm gonna show you how this looks like from the back, because you can see me holding it. So like... Wait, hold on, I gotta pull it. Whoa! Wait. Oh god, I keep throwing it so far away. There you go, should be fine. Now I just wait. Come on. Watch me not get anything. Come on. Oh. Shit. Oh my god, that's tiny. What the fuck? Look at it! Wait, can you grab the fish? Oh, this feels weird! Ugh! I don't know if I like this. Oh, you can just like fucking grab it. Wiggle it? I don't want to wiggle the fish. Shake it. Oh shit, I dropped it. Hold on. This is so weird. Ow. I'm gonna put him in the bucket. There you go. He was mandarin fish. Never seen it. You just up the fish. Okay, listen. The floor is pretty comfortable. I wouldn't worry about it. Oh my god. Dominic, okay, you're fishing. Oh, sorry, I walked through you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your fishing rod is so tiny. It's adorable. Oh, it's getting really hot. I may switch shirts. I wonder if I need... I mean, technically I don't need to take it off to switch shirts. Meh, 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 meh. Ugh. Let's see how it looks like in other avatars. What do I have? The Viewee Brion, we tried... I mean, I do have a Rex. She's like super like fucking unused by me, but let's see how it looks like. Meow, meow. I brushed my hand against the wall and I muted myself. Nice. It's 15 degrees outside. Everything is on. Old Rex is actually pretty new. I updated it. But due to controversies and, you know, the whole shebang, I kinda stopped using it. It's quite old by now. Not really old. Rexus. Rexus. Ah, fuck off. I don't want that. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Old as you. I don't use the Rex because it's kind of overused and, you know, the creator, blah blah blah, but yeah, it's whatever. Well, let's see the Nova Beast. Not the Nova Beast. The Nova Beast, yeah, the Nova Beast. Oh, where's my pinky? Oh, that is weird. Yeah, I don't have a pinky. Still works though. Chat, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. 2, 3, go. Wah, 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 wah. I keep... Do the salute. What do you mean? What salute? Do the 07? How does it look on... I do have the Nar though. Don't worry, I'm not gonna be German, okay? You know what, let's set up the Nova Beast actually. I don't have the clothes I usually like. Remove color. Oh, this doesn't have. Oh, he doesn't have the clothes. Added face tracking. I didn't set up the clothes yet. I can shake your hand if you want. I do love the Kiki. I wanna go Kiki for a bit. It's a perfect combo. Kitty and fish. Wait, is it getting darker? Does this world have like real time like thingy? Or did I like reduce brightness by accident? I don't think that's really easy to do. No, it looks okay. Screenshot. Alright, yoga ball time. Oh. 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 Wah. 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 There you go. Let's do this. The play space is way smoother than I was expecting. I like it. Hababa, hababa. Have you fixed your beats yet? It's not my fault, man. I have everything set up correctly. I don't know why. It's like I said where it is everything context without clipping. That wouldn't be like that hard to do actually. I think so. Okay, am I fucking tripping? Did it actually get I look darker? I made this look darker. How the fuck did I do that? Every time you fix next to me is broken again. Maybe it's OBS. Did I make this team darker by accident? Where's the settings? I remember there's like a VR settings somewhere where you can actually change the brightness. Video. Video? Where's video? Oh yeah, video. Resolution, blah blah blah. And the resolution, faders. Oh wait, did they remove? Did they remove the dimming? Oh, maybe because I'm on the quest. You're in a 3 shade. No, but it looked a little bit. Oh. Okay, so here is like all this time I was just in the shadow. Thank you so much. I feel really dumb. It's the cat avatar, okay? Cat brain cell, whatever. Don't look disappointed at me. Okay? I look like, you know, one of those, you know, ancient people watching like a solar eclipse for the first time. Like, whoa, why is it dark? What the fuck? I'm scary. I'm doing it. You got a diamond? You got a diamond? What the fuck? There are like 3 secret items. I think they're rare. So you can actually get something, and they should make a sound. Do I have a sound? Do I have sound?
Lizard.
Lizard. A blizzard. I feel I can click this. Hello? Does it have sound?
Lizard.
Oh, fuck.
Lizard.
Fuck. I think I moved it.
Lizard.
Fuck, what is happening?
Lizard.
Okay, hold on.
Lizard.
Does it have sound? Yeah, unmute. There you go.
Lizard. Lizard. Lizard.
That's a little bit too high.
Lizard.
Holy shit, that is high. Let's do...
Lizard.
15%. That's okay.
Lizard.
Lizard,
Fucking hell,
blizzard,
man.
blizzard.
Have you tried to get that outfit for this cat avatar I
Lizard.
do?
I haven't yet. I've been super busy, man. I may try tomorrow before stream. Meow, 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 meow. Okay, there you go. Okay, then we have the sounds on. Because the secret items also have secret sounds on them. That's really cool. I may have put them really rare though. Maybe. We'll see. If no one puts them today, if no one fishes them today, I'll make them less rare. Until everyone has them. Whoa. Nice rod, bro. Thank you. Your rod is pretty cool too. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Hold on. Oh, bucket. You know what? I became a bucket. Well, this is my life now. I was gonna be wholesome and be like, hi, I'm Snowy. You have a really nice rod. Really good fishing rod. Yeah. The bucket. It's a really thick rod. Ah. Ah, ah. 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 I'm stuck. But don't say it like that, man. Now it's weird. You're weird. I love this avatar. It's so cute. You know what? I love the Mayu. The Mayu has something we like to call the little shit grin, where like you do some mischievous, you know, and you're like. He actually so looks like a cat's like. Oh. You know that pose like. How much kind if you're putting that bucket into your head? Listen, I actually haven't played Skyrim in a little bit, okay? If you keep talking about it, oh shit. I died. Don't really like water. By the way, chat, if you're online and you know me and you have me like added, just you can join the instance. I think it should be fine. Let's see if someone is online. I have. Oh, there's a puppy. Whoa, puppy came to my chat, to my stream, harassed me, joined VR chat, and said nothing. How dare? That was a wet cat. Listen, I'm a wet pussy. I'm so good at streaming. I make. Cannot say that with a straight face. Yo. I'm back. Sorry I killed myself. There you go. I have to go here. It's the only place with good like shades, so like if I stay here, there's like a 50-50 chance I'm gonna kill myself by accident. I could join, I suppose, if you want to, man. It's always fun to have someone around. Domino is very non-verbal. Come here. Heads up. Oh shit, 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 shit. I need to lock my input on this. There you go. I have a domino now. I can use you as like a... You're my drum. What? Listen, you gotta be useful. You gotta stay. You can't just be adorable, okay? There we go. It's illegal to only be cute. Domino needs to sing for us. Come on. Did you ever sing in VR? Did I miss it? No? Oh. Oh, not in VR. In VC maybe? Gato, el gato. El puso. Maybe. Wow. You have the vibes of having like a really good voice. But like you don't speak at all, but you just have like a ginormous like angelic voice. Oh, why do I have Patreon on and I'm like publishing my creator page? No. What stop. Stop doing that. God, I'm gonna end up like banning everyone in chat by accident. You gotta be so careful with this crap. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. There you go. Fixed. Hi, welcome from the ads. How was your ad? What ad did you get? You get a pizza ad? Pizza ad? Where else? Well, what ads do we have? I don't even know. What would you possibly advertise to my audience? Pizza? I know someone got like a car. Like, was it a Hyundai or something? They think you're rich, man. Insulin ad. Wait, why? You advertise insulin? Wait, what? That's a thing? Something about lasers. Okay, now that sounds cool. Can you advertise like insulin? Like what? I feel like insulin is something like... I think I know if I need it, you know what I mean? Oh, Puppy now wants to join, huh? Let's see what they have to say. There's some smart pod thing that you knocks like an insulin pump. Also like a patch thing. You guys are really going with the fishing, huh? Meow meow. If someone gets the special items, let me know. He will probably scream in my face though. Okay, I need to go touch Puppy in 4K now. Yo, do you wanna get fingered with my new fingers?
Fish for you.
Hey!
What? Hold on, wait. I almost got you. Hold on. Stop moving.
No, I'll grab it.
Yeah, can you grab my ball? Hold on, wait.
Just throw it, I'll grab it. Oh, that was actually pretty accurate.
Oh, shit. Alright, fuck the rod.
Oh my god, is that Deep Puppy from twitch.tv.com? Whoa!
Oh my god, I know, it's so crazy. Oh my god, you know what's crazy? Oh my fucking god, let me tell you something, right? I was checking my like missed friend request, right? Because I never clear it out, and I was about to, right? And
Can you take a rod like
and
out of my... Thank you. I was like in the way.
Yeah. I was checking my like missed friend request list, and I don't know how the fuck this happened, but the first thing I saw, and I shit you not, was "Bring Back Slavery wants to be your friend." I can't make this shit up. It's right here, 15 days ago. Bring back slavery with Lexington.
If you think about it, it would be pretty useful. If you disregard the whole acting component.
I don't understand when
How
or
is-
how that happened.
How is that not a filter? Like, how is that not filtered?
I don't know.
Is it like a movement like that exists? Bring back.
I fucking hope. There's a couch over everything. That's fucking hilarious.
Oh god.
Oh,
I love
my
like when you
God.
come here and it's immediately like racism. Like,
It's not immediate. Look, okay, listen. That's not my fault. All right. If anything, this is like an experience, right? You get to see what like a day in the life of any like POC person in VR chat is like.
you know that like before I knew what that meant, I thought it meant piece of shit. And I was like, why are they calling everyone?
Where did you think this?
I'm Portuguese, bro. I was like,
oh
oh,
shit with the C.
I don't know. I don't know.
So you thought it meant piece of shit.
I was so
Despite there being a C in the sentence.
I was so confused. Like, why are these people all calling themselves this?
That's POS. Did you never stop
Or
to
cra-
think about that?
No. Eventually, I figured it out. It was like a little bit.
How did that take you so long?
Don't say it like that. You don't know how long it took. What do you mean?
It had to have taken a pretty good while knowing you. Your brain just runs at like
Wow.
a slower pace.
No, I
Just
just
why your
slow.
head's smooth. It reflects the state of your brain. There's just nothing in here.
My brain is smooth. Ideas just fall off, like slide right off.
Exactly.
Fuck! Activated safe mode. God damn it! Hold on.
Fantastic work, Mr. Streamer.
There's like a combo you can do. There you go. It's fine. We're no in protection anymore, so be careful. Stupid.
It's
The cool
alright,
thing I
my
can do is
winger's
like
not on this avatar yet.
when I talk to you now, I can look like super interested. Like, just tell me something.
The Fitness Gram Pacer test is a multi-stage aerobics capacity test that progressively increases in difficulty as it continues. The 10-meter dash will begin now. When you hear this sound, that is your cue to begin.
What sound? You didn't do any sound. Yeah.
I didn't know what sound to make in that scenario.
You're making a smoke alarm one. Ha.
No, why would it be the smoke alarm, Snowy? Now, why would it be the smoke alarm?
Don't do that. I don't like when you do that.
Why would it be the smoke alarm, Snowy?
Elaborate.
Go ahead and say
Actually,
what
mine
you
is broken.
really-
I just realized. I just remembered. It's like hanging from the ceiling. It like I don't know what the fuck happened. It glued off. So now it's just like there, and I don't know what to do.
Why don't you get a new smoke detector? What do you mean you don't know what to do? Get a new smoke detector.
I don't fucking know. It's in
such a
Norwegian.
Get a Norwegian smoke detector. I don't fucking know.
It speaks Norwegian. It's so confusing. There was one time I triggered it because I was
What do you
cooking,
mean it's...
and like they talk to you through the fucking like thing, like from the fire department. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
You're telling me your fucking smoke detector
They remote
has a line
in.
into the
Yeah,
fire department.
they remote into the thing and talk to you while you're in the house. The first thing that happened, I was like,
imagine burning something, and you're just like,
You-
deep
I
inside
literally-
your home.
I literally had to say I just suck at cooking. There's nothing wrong.
That's so fucking. So they can just drop in on you whenever.
Like, oh, what's up? I'm like, what the fuck? That's a really
Hey
cool
guys,
system.
what
Well,
you doing in here?
He's just vibing like, hey, what you doing? I'm like, what the fuck? Can you imagine hacking those? It was so funny. He's like hacking into the like the fire alarm
terrifying.
system. Now they have a lot of
I can
security
into my
here.
homie's fire alarm and tell him I can hear him pooping.
We heard moaning fire. I mean, it makes sense. Like they don't waste resources if it like beeps, because they get like a real time like
just-
alert. So okay,
I just know
actually,
the person that works that line is so fucking annoyed because everyone burns something like every 5
it's like,
minutes.
ah.
At
At least they have a job. How do okay? Actually, like, how do the smoke alarms work? There's just like noise, or does it trigger like something and then like it sends like something to the police or whatever? I have no idea. Cause here, like, it's so
I think,
over-engineered.
as far as I know,
It's so over-engineered.
it just like lets you know that something's smoking. I don't think it like calls the fire department.
Oh,
or
so
at
like
least
you're just an
most of them
idiot. It's
don't.
like wah wah. Wah. If hey.
Yeah, it just goes on like really fucking loud. It just goes wah, 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 something's on fire. It's incredibly
You
annoying to
idiot.
the point that you can like tell when it's there.
I mean, that's the whole point.
Because we've set the smoke detector up at least like 5 times, and it's so fucking loud. Like you could not miss it.
I only did it twice, I think.
You
Oh, and
think?
there was something so annoying happening. So, you have the fire alarm, and like I think there's like a over here. There's like a X amount of coverage. Oh, okay, we're fishing. Holy shit, that's a boot.
It's for you, Snowy.
Aw,
I have a boot for you.
can I drink from it? Give me.
Yeah, here, you wanna drink that seawater? Yup.
Oh,
Yummy,
wow,
yummy.
wow.
Yeah.
Ow,
Is
wow.
that good?
Ah. No, I was gonna say, yeah. So you need to have the smoke alarms, like on an X amount of them, like per square meter here, and they do run out of battery. And when they do, holy shit, it's annoying. Like it talks to you, saying it has no battery and you should replace it. Instead of beeping, so like you're sleeping and you just get jump scared in the middle of the night of someone like speaking. I was like, what the fuck? It's so it was so scary. That was like the worst experience ever. I'm like, what is happening? Oh,
I think I'd honestly shit myself if I was chilling in the middle of the night about to fall asleep and then
It
it
just
put a
sticks.
Norwegian man in my hallway.
yeah. It's a woman. I think it's probably more like, you know, suiting or whatever.
That's even more terrifying. Why would a woman be in my house?
Kinda right, like fucking cringe.
I know. Wait, I'm
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, but another one, you know.
Like the way you think. This is why we pay you the big bucks.
I remind me of that meme, which is like, why do guys over-sexualize lesbians? And there's like that girl with the chocolate. Oh boy, a chocolate bar. I like this chocolate bar. I'm like, Mom, you know what would be better than one chocolate bar I really like? Oh boy, 2 chocolate bars. It's so funny. I'm like, yo, no.
I got one. I got one.
Go.
Here, motherfucker.
I'm here for mentally. I'm here for like mental support. Did you get like a? Oh, that's kind of. It's a
Look
bass.
at that trout right there. That's a trout.
Hell yeah, it's a trout. I'm sorry, I'm not American. I don't know fucking.
Wow, you don't know all the different kinds of fish?
I don't know
Just
even
by
call it
looking at
fish.
them? What's wrong with you?
I'm sorry. I should learn. I literally come from the
And
country.
you know, this isn't a trout. His name is Bert. You insensitive bastard.
I'm sorry.
You're
I
just
don't know.
calling them by their government names instead of what their name is. Had you ever stopped to ask the fish what it wants to be called instead of what you call it? You fucking asshole.
Yeah, I just dead
Sorry,
name a
Bert,
fish.
He didn't mean it.
Can I apologize?
Say you're sorry to Bert.
I'm sorry, Bert. There you go. Put him in the bucket now.
Why'd you stroke Bert? He didn't like that. Don't stroke him. No, stop stroking him. See, now
Nah,
you
make
made
it
Bert-
awkward. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can't just put something phallic and then like not stroke it. It's like kind of a rule, you know.
I think you can. I think if you can't do that, then you shouldn't be in supermarkets or just any area.
You never did in supermarkets, especially on the like the you know those like spray bottles for like the deodorant.
Spray bottles for the deodorant.
Yeah, like the spray deodorant things is like this size and oh whoa.
Nice.
Meow, meow,
Oh,
meow,
boy,
meow,
it
meow,
leveled
meow.
up.
Hi. Oh, camping. I'm getting fed marshmallows by an anime girl. I think this is like peak life. Not gonna lie. Oh, you burned it.
Oh wait, yeah, I have that now. Hang on.
You
I'm
have,
gonna get
why
the
does
real
everyone
fishing
has
sprint.
this?
Put like a fireplace down next to me. Hang on.
Can we put so many fireplaces and we
Where
just
is it?
crash everything? Never imagined I would be force-fed marshmallows by an anime girl with
Oh.
huge bahonkadonks, but here we are.
That's someone's kink.
Hi. Honestly, yeah. Oh, I can grab it? Oh,
What
is that
the
an
hell?
item? Wait, it's an actual item in VR?
I got a gummy fish.
Why are you like that? I'm... Why are you like
Why am
this?
I like that? You're just jealous of me and my gummy fish.
It's pretty green though, not gonna lie. Do you want to trade it for my marshmallow?
Nah, mine's bigger.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter. It's like, you know...
No, I think the way bigger fish would be able to satiate someone's stomach way easier than the tiny marshmallow.
Listen. Oh! Wait, hold on. There you go. At least... I keep eating it back, so hold on. Sorry. There you go.
You'd get tired of infinite marshmallows.
Would you though?
I would. Ooh! Blue zone!
What is something that you would not get tired if you had infinite of it? I knew you were gonna say that, so I was gonna follow it up by like, it can't be sexual.
Alright, something I really wouldn't get tired of eating, like, ever?
Yeah?
Can it be like a food category? Does it be like have to be like a specific
No,
food?
specific. Like, you can only eat this for the rest of your life.
Tacos.
Ooh, I
Because
think
there's
that's
so
a
many
good
different
one.
ways to
No,
customize a taco
no.
that you
It needs
could
to
really
be a
never get
single
bored.
one.
What? No.
Oh,
Well, yeah, you get tired of
melons.
eating a single item for the rest of your life.
Melons is a good one. Watermelons? Oh, not
I get tired
watermelons.
of that too.
You someone
'Cause they
loves
have, like,
watermelons.
No protein, no savoriness.
I think he would just.
fucking.
I think he would just die. Okay, let's change the
Alright,
question.
but if we're going by food categories, tacos, easy peasy.
Hi, Polly D. Tacos, yeah. Did you know that Vaporeon? No, but like, did you know?
I'm gonna stop you right the fuck there.
Okay. Hagnardo, come here,
Baby, baby,
hog.
boo.
Blah, 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 blah,
I
blah.
got this because of you.
Okay, so did you know that Norway is one of the highest, like, there's one of the most, like, highest consumption of tacos, like, in the world?
Really? Is
Yeah,
that a fact?
and like per capita, and they're also the one of the biggest they're the second most consumers of tacos behind Mexico, and they also eat the most
Okay,
like
I was about to say.
they have like fucking they consume the most Pepsi Max like in the world or something, and like just keep in mind there's 5 million people here, and they're behind Mexico.
So can I ask you something real quick? What the fuck is a Pepsi Max?
You know what Pepsi is?
Well, yeah, I know what Pepsi is, but what's a Pepsi Max? Just all right. So there's Pepsi Zero,
Oh,
right?
that's
There's
caffeine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar, right? There's regular Pepsi. There's
They have-
Pepsi. There's Diet Pepsi. What
Never
the fuck is a
heard.
Pepsi Max?
They have it here. It just has a ton of caffeine. I think it's like fucking jolt. You can get cooked
So it's just
crackers in it.
Pepsi with coffee in it.
Caffeine? I think that's caffeine, yeah. Pepsi Max is sugar-free. Wait, what? Why is it called Max?
What? Yeah,
Huh?
why is it called Max if it's sugar free? That seems so fucking like, you know, I can't find the fucking word. It's
Is Mexico? Wait,
what's the word?
you? What do you mean? I don't know what that
Why
means.
is it called Pepsi Max if it's sugar free? That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, Mexico. Oh, you mean Mexico?
Yeah, Pepsi Max fucking bullshit. What do you
Yeah,
mean
I can do
sugar-free?
I can do a Spanish accent, but I just don't.
So which is Pepsi Zero with a different name?
It's like, yo, we made this thing and we're gonna remove an ingredient. Let's call it Max. It's like you had like the
That's
iPhone
so
Pro,
dumb.
like you had the iPhone Pro Max and it's the shittier than the smallest one. Like what the fuck? It makes no sense.
That's what I'm saying.
Voltage lives like fucking like 2 hours away from me. I've never seen him yet. We need to go see Voltage. Maybe when I have my bike so I can zoom.
Oh my god, IRL Snowy stream where you go to visit your friend and do entirely normal things?
You know I can do like I can do things that don't involve streaming, right? I can just go visit. Who the fuck?
No, you
What was that
can't. You're a
item? That
streamer.
was a
That's your
lot of
entire
money.
life. That's what you do. You have to stream
Yeah.
everything you do.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking to you right now, and
Stream
we're only
yourself
friends
pissing.
because we're streaming. I did that already.
That's fucking insane.
What? What did I not
See
do?
that?
Okay, say
That's
something
the
that's
carb. I'm
weird, and
fucking-
I'll try and think if I did it or not.
You ever had someone pay you $50 to shit in the toilet and just record it?
On stream, not like.
Oh,
Not after.
oh, okay.
But no, I don't think so. Unless.
Yeah, that's a good ass question. Cause it's like everything that we do or that you do as a furry and a streamer wouldn't be considered weird to me at this point. I just go,
I did
"Oh,
do
yeah,
human trafficking once.
That's just. Oh yeah, the fucking streamer auction.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I keep having like recurring dreams about that. I don't know why.
Dreaming
It's just like I don't.
Am I in your?
That's
How do you go to bed and like, oh, good night? You go fell asleep and you just see me. What the fuck is wrong with you?
That's not what I mean. What it's just like I keep thinking of the logistics of that and how you couldn't make it work in 2025.
It just happened. Like it was not planned. I don't even know how it happened. I just
So you
was
do a
like,
streamer auction, but instead of charity, we pay ourselves. Problem solved.
I'm the charity.
No moral code. We're the charity. The charity is my wallet.
Oh, you're this thing, lol. No. Voltage, how many car thingies do you have? I was thinking, Voltage, about buying like one like a used car soon, so I may ask you for advice. Oh, I'm mechanically
Oh, she's a
challenged.
buyer. It's alright. I'm mentally challenged.
I'm like same. You can see my brain cells like work. I cannot accept this invite.
I thought you were Portuguese.
I'm trying to like
You said you were
manage
mentally
dexterity
challenged. I
here.
thought you were Portuguese.
Same thing. Oh, you got a Mazda 3? Oh, is that the rotary engine one? Is it? No, that's
I'm
the.
still shocked you're fucking Portuguese. I thought you were Norwegian the entire time I've known you.
I met you before I even fucking like knew like I was gonna go here. What do you mean?
I didn't know you were like you moved to Norway. I thought you were Norwegian.
I did that like five. I did that like. Oh, there the RX-7. Yeah, never mind.
I don't really assume anyone's Portuguese. I just don't like.
Wow, that's
look-
kind of racist.
I'm
What
like,
the
oh,
fuck?
yeah, that guy's Portuguese. How is that racist? I said I don't assume anyone's Portuguese.
Yeah, you're excluding us. Why, you assume I'm Norwegian though? Like, what the
What do
fuck?
you mean I'm excluding you?
Oh yeah, do I talk English like this?
You talk
Oh,
about
yeah,
Norway
chat.
a lot, and you have a funny accent. I assumed you were Norwegian.
What do you mean? It's not, Norway talks like this. Oh yeah, let's go fish. No, I am being racist.
That's like the fucking Vikings, like what's SpongeBob go? It's Leif Erikson Day. Hinga dinga durga. That's what you sounded like right there.
Now I offended Voltage. You're welcome.
Why is that my fault?
What do you mean? Sniffs you? Oh.
Kitten, don't make the alpha come out of me, or else I'm warning you, it can get real sticky, and I'm not talking about a problem. If you know what I mean. Deku, stop flirting with streamers. I'm sorry, Kochon.
Why do you know that?
Go.
Why do you know that?
I get that question a lot. It's usually why can you do that so well, or how can you do that, or why do you do that? And the answer is always the same, irregardless. I don't know, and I'm scared.
Please send help. Press 1 for.
No, don't send help. Kochon, calm down. You're gonna scare him. Deku, shut up, nerd.
I'm disappointed. I thought you were like a really cool person, but now I'm like, I'm not sure about this anymore. I don't think I like this.
No, Snowy, you're sure. You're entirely sure. Don't worry about it. You see this fish? This fish is representative of our friendship, Snowy. You see how it's beautiful and elongated?
Why is this
That
corner to
represents
you?
the
I
length of
thought
our...
you were a weird sounding Mexican before I knew your
Why is that corner to me,
nationality.
Snowy?
Don't say it like that.
Why is
Why?
that cor-
Okay, why is
Why is
this?
that corner to me?
Because it's pretty and very round.
Okay.
I don't know if you're fat or
What
not.
the fuck?
I don't know.
How are you fat?
I don't know if you're fat or not
You're
actually.
calling me fat now? I'm trying to say our friendship is beautiful, and then you call me fat. You're such an asshole.
I'm okay. Let me explain. I'm not an asshole. I need to get diagnosed by something that autism. I'm pretty sure that's a thing now. So you know, if I feel like an asshole, I just probably don't know what the fuck is going on.
So you
Hi,
know where
I'm
you are
Snowy.
right now?
I'm a cat.
Another fucking boot.
I've started apologizing to people because I don't get stupid social cues, so I just sound like an asshole sometimes. And I'm like, no, I'm just stupid. I'm sorry, okay? Like, I'm actually
I
stupid.
think you might be autistic, Gangy.
No, I just, you know. So, here's my technique. Here. If you don't get diagnosed, you don't have it. And if someone says it, it's offensive because I'm not diagnosed. So I'm like, bro.
So
It's like Trump
if
did
my
with the
liver
COVID
fucking
thing.
explodes, but I don't get diagnosed with fatty liver disease, then
You
I
didn't
never
die.
had fatty liver disease.
No? Listen, if a tree falls on a forest and there's no one nearby, does it make a sound?
Well, yeah, it makes a sound, just no one's around to hear it.
No, it makes a wave on the air. If no one hears it, it doesn't
so that's
become.
a sound.
But it's not loud. Because nobody, if nobody's there, there's no bang. So technically,
There is a bang, just no one's around to hear it.
no, we make it a bang in our
It
brains.
doesn't make a sound.
It's just a
So,
pressure
Snowy,
wave.
if I go into the other room right now and start smacking my ass at full force repeatedly,
But you
and
will
you
hear
can't
it.
hear it, does that mean I'm not smacking my
No,
ass?
no, 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 no. But you can, unless you're deaf.
So let's say I was deaf in this scenario then. Now I'm fucking deaf.
Yeah,
know
now
it.
you're deaf.
Snowy, are you getting... What's the word?
I know, but she's deaf now.
Theory of relativity?
Maybe. We're a bit simpler. But a furry version. We
No,
do the furry version. Imagine
the
we're
theory
clapping
of
cheeks and like, but
observed
we're both
relativity.
deaf.
That's it.
You know?
It's
No, you gotta make the
same
scenario
thing
more
as running your
realistic.
cat.
Okay. Can you get your rod?
We're
I'm trying
clapping
to
cheeks
speak
at a
with
room
you.
Party, but
And,
no
like-
one is around to hear it.
Your fucking huge rod is just in front of my face all the time.
Oh, whoa.
It's not the person who had a rod in front of your face, buddy.
If someone jumps from a cliff, do you hear them land or die? Both? Still a land if you die, right?
Okay, but you're not in the area. If someone jumps from a cliff and they like die, do they not die just because you didn't witness it?
Well, that's different.
That's the same fucking scenario.
Okay, listen. So, what about this? What if you like just appear on a box and no one ever knows you there, and then you die? You don't exist because nobody saw you.
I do exist because otherwise I wouldn't have consciousness and shit. It doesn't matter if nobody
But on the
saw
grand
me.
scheme of things, you don't
As
exist.
Schrodinger's cat.
No, that's different. That's like
I just saw someone skidding on the road. I'm sorry, I had to
there
like
and
walk
it's
out
not.
for a
It's
second.
alive and it's dead. You don't know until you look at it.
But if you don't
It's
look
all
at
about
it, you're permanently not existing
confirmation
because you
and
don't matter.
I just don't believe
You
that something
don't
has to be observed for
matter.
it to exist.
We have that proof, by the way, actually. There's
Do
proof. There's a proof of that. That observing something changes the state of it.
Yes, it's called quantum processing.
No, it's the double slit
Listen, buddy,
experiment.
I know what that is. I played Outer Wilds.
The way that they talk about quantum processors is just with the act of looking at the outcome changes it.
Our brain hallucinates. Yeah, that's another theory, but that's another thing.
Oh.
It's that you can go into the thing like, is your pink the same pink as my pink? I died. Well... See, Schrodinger's cat, I like 50-50 chance of I'm just gonna fuck myself and die.
That's a great question.
Listen. I have a really good example for you. Okay?
You ate my marshmallow, you fuck.
Fuck your marshmallow. Look, I have a really good example for you. Shut the fuck up, okay? So, do you know about the... Is it the mantis shrimp? The one that has a really big punch? Is it the mantis shrimp? I think it's
There's
the mantis
other ones
shrimp.
that
I
do.
think.
Anyway, they can
I don't
see...
study the ocean.
They can see a
anemone.
billion colors that we can't. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, but they're
If-
also high on acid all the time.
Yeah, but if that shrimp that does this didn't exist, you would never know about this. So the colors don't exist because no one can see them. Stop eating the marshmallows while I'm speaking to you about quantum physics. But if you didn't have spectrometers, ever,
They're older than the discovery of the shrimp.
yeah, if it's an if scenario, hypothetical.
Fuck.
Also, it's not about the shrimp. Fuck the shrimp. I don't care.
What do you fuck the shrimp? What do you mean fuck the shrimp? You
Talk
fuck
about
the
the
shrimp.
fucking popcorn shrimp, whatever the fuck it's called.
We're above the shrimp now. It doesn't matter
No,
anymore.
yeah, that.
You have a marshmallow and shut up. There you go. Oh, sorry. Here. There you go.
Oh, I'm fucking crying, dude. Stop eating my marshmallow, you fat bastard.
Someone did the thing in chat. Is that the puppy? Yes. Wow. Look. You have a fan.
Oh my god! No way! Hi! My name's Politicos Wolf. I'm just a shy little streamer. I'm not really all that known. I'm sorry. Hi, how are you doing? I'm so sorry.
That's
I'm
why you're
trying
not
to be
known.
that.
Like this is exactly why you're not. Now that person just closed everything. They're gone forever. We're never gonna see them again.
Yo, no, please, I'm sorry. Who was it?
Iconard.
Oh, I know that person. Hi! I
You
met
don't
them a
remember-
while ago. They're very
okay.
nice.
Even the dragons.
Whenever I meet someone and I'm
I
like,
met them when I was in an instance with my friend Opal, and they were like, "Oh, you know, I'm scared to talk to somebody in here," and they were like, "Oh yeah, puppy." I was like, "Huh?"
oh my god, puppy, you're
Yeah,
so
emotional.
scary. You're so scary.
I know, I'm the most menacing person I know. I'm actually terrifying. I wake up in the morning and kick babies.
Can you kick me?
Okay,
Are you into
okay.
that?
Speaking about kicking babies. So what age are we talking about?
Wait! Oh, whoa!
What?
Whoa! What the fuck do you mean speaking about kicking babies?
No, listen.
Where was that going?
So imagine like
I didn't
okay,
mean to
well
play
let's use that in another context, not this one.
Yeah,
But anyway, imagine you
I'm
have
not a Minecraft
like
YouTuber. I like women above my age.
8-year-olds, right? 8-year-olds, right?
Okay.
How many
Is it 8 or
8-year-olds?
18?
8.
Oh, 8.
How many 8-year-olds? Fuck, it's hard to say. Would it take to defeat you?
How many could I fight? Like how
Yeah,
tall? are the
barehanded.
8-year-olds? Like how
Like no,
barehanded?
like
Do
just fists.
barehanded 8-year-olds?
And you too. Like how many could you like
This is a
defeat?
good question. I'm glad you asked this.
Like 10, 20?
Realistic? Okay. What are the circumstances? What time of day is it that I eat lunch that day? Like
You're like in like the
what?
peak of your
What do you
day.
have to do with it?
You're in the peak of your day.
I'm gonna be if I'm gonna beat a bunch of 12-year-olds. I mean 8-year-olds. I have to be like well energized.
What, you
It's
gonna
like, ah,
eat them
fuck,
if
I
you
gotta-
didn't eat lunch?
I have like a, I have to go beat 2 8-year-olds in like 2 hours. Can I have a McDonald's? I have a
Yeah,
McRib.
Number 2 with the large Coke.
Should I get a double quarter pounder or?
You go to like a
a
McDonald's, can I get a number 2? And they're like, oh, someone's hitting babies today. Yeah, it's that time of the month.
How many? That's just a good. Okay, so
Like,
okay.
let's say like
So
5.
let's say the circumstances are like it's five 8-year-olds or like 5 p.m. in the afternoon.
5 8-year-olds. Why does the time matter? I don't understand your logic.
Because I get tired later at night, so if I was tired, I would be able to fight less 8-year-olds.
You're overthinking. Just like the
And what are the
midday.
conditions? Do I have to like knock out the 8-year-olds, or
Kill
is it
them.
like a battle to the death? I have to kill them barehanded? Are they fat 8-year-olds?
I don't know, man. Mixed. I don't fucking. I don't know.
Like, there's a lot of additional questions here.
Like, okay, so imagine this: like 108-year-olds, right? And they're like surrounding you. How do you start?
Okay. All right. Are they fat 8-year-olds?
Normal. I don't know what the fuck. Average. Everyone's average.
What height would you say the 8-year-olds are?
How high is it? I don't even know. Like this? Waist height, maybe?
Like
A little bit
waist
higher?
height? Okay,
I
but
don't
I'm
have
5'5" though, so like, where would they be in comparison to
Like here.
where I am? Like, okay, let me stand up. Okay. So where would you say the 8-year-old would be in relative to where I'm standing right now?
I love it
This
like
is
you
my real
stand
height.
up and your
damn,
height
you're
didn't
short.
change. You did the thing. You stand up and your height didn't change.
I was sitting. It mattered. Can you just tell me?
Like here.
I'm 6.5 feet tall.
So they'd
Like
be like
here.
right here.
A little bit like under your chest.
Oh,
Yeah,
right
like here.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're punting height. So I start off by kicking off one of those little fuckers in the nuts, right? And then while he's stunned, I pick him up and I whip him around to hit all the other 8-year-olds around me. Now they're all on the ground writhing.
See,
and
that's the
stunned.
same-
I get on top
yeah.
of one and just start beating his fucking ass, right?
But then you
And
expose
I just
your
keep
back.
doing it until he's stunned. But I expose my back, but the 8-year-olds are still on the floor at this point, right? Because they would all be like
Not
too
all of
hurt
them.
to get back
Only the
up.
first wave. The other ones around are still lit up.
There's waves? Okay, so are they in a circle around me? Or is there waves? You're adding new shit to the equation.
No, because
every time.
180-year-olds.
Killing floor map that you're making or something?
No, like if you
Are
have
you trying
100
to
of them,
add
they
boss?
can't do a circle around you. They just like a blob, like a thing, like surrounding you.
So are they straight lining
Have you seen
me? Are they
Naruto?
running at me? Yes.
You know what it is, the
But I
Kage
think I've seen
Bushin,
this game before.
and it's like kind of
So
like
Are
that.
they using Shadow Clone Jutsu now? So-
Yeah, it's a 108-year-old, but they're all the same because they're shadow clones now.
Oh, the 8-year-olds have one hand now?
No, they're shadow clones.
Okay. Is he fat?
Why do you keep going to the fat?
Because if he's a fat 8-year-old, I can kick his
So they're
ass easily.
average.
This
They're
motherfucker's
ninjas
almost-
now.
Why are they ninjas now?
Because they have shadow
They were
clones. Only
average
one
8-year-old.
of them is
What
real.
average 8-year-old do you fucking know that's a ninja?
One of them is real. The other ones are clones. They got the hidden scroll from the leaf, and now they know the
Where do
shadow
you get
thing.
cloning technology?
They found the scroll and they trained.
What fucking scroll?
The shadow leaf, the hidden leaf shadows like scroll with the
Okay,
hidden
so are we in the
jutsus.
Naruto universe now?
Yes.
Okay, so can I pick what ninja I am?
Yeah, sure. You know what? You can pick one engine item to fight back.
Okay, so I'm
Shad, this is
Rock
very
Lee,
important.
And I open the 4th gate and I kill them all.
No, you
Easy.
can't just do that. No.
Yes, the fuck I can. You just said
You
I
can't
can
just-
pick whoever I wanted.
That's not a ninja item. It's like, oh yeah, I'm Hagoromo now and I invented jutsu. What the
It
fuck?
literally is a ninja item. He's just raw strength.
So you raw dog the heroes with your chakra.
Whoa! 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 That is not what
I took so many screenshots because of this.
That's not what I
You're the wrong
said.
guy for that.
I'm saying.
I think you need to change to the
Again,
Wiki
I am
Weather
not a
world.
Minecraft YouTuber. I like women older than me. If you know anyone within the age range of 40 to 55, tell them my Discord DMs are open. Anyway, as I was saying,
sure to DM
you
you.
said I could pick whatever ninja I want. What?
Item.
Okay, but if I'm picking a ninja item, right, then I pick whatever
I
fucking
just saw a
Naruto's
short
thing is
talking
where he can
about an
shapeshift
Asian
into other
movie that
people,
is about
and then I pick
amazing
Rock
cooking
Lee,
or
then I
something like
train that I'm Rock
A
Lee,
chef cut an
then I
entire
open
pig
the
off of their
fourth
bones
gate,
in
and
one
Okay,
I
that's
kill
too
her.
many items. That's like not.
That's one item! That's all off one item!
Not an item.
Yes, it is!
You can like, you can be like, oh yeah, if I can pick one thing, I wouldn't be God. Why? That, like, you can't just do that.
That's not even God! Naruto with the fucking, like, 8 parts is God! That's not God! That's just Rock Lee!
They're not God, technically. I don't want to spoil it, but they're technically aliens.
Man, I don't give a fuck!
What are you spoiling there?
Okay, if we're
I don't
going
even-
back to the initial, just me versus how many 8-year-olds am I fighting?
I don't know, like 50 now. Real,
Okay, 50
normal,
8-year-olds, right?
average 8-year-olds.
Okay, so 8-year-olds are very light, right? So it would be easy to use one of them as a weapon. So I go with my initial strategy.
But would that do
I
damage
punch one
though?
right in the fucking nuts. He's gonna double over and lose all his oxygen. Then I pick him up by his legs and swing him around at any other approaching 8-year-olds, right? Then I suplex the 8-year-old I'm holding into the 8-year-old that's approaching my back, and then I throw both of them at each other. Then they're all gonna start running at me. No problem. This is where I pull out my secret technique. I pull out the Glock I had hidden in my waist.
No,
I
okay.
put a switch
Now
on
it's,
it.
you fucking lost me. Now you're assembling a gun mid-fight.
What story is this from? I've heard this on YouTube before.
I'm making this shit up as I go. If this is a story on YouTube, I would love to see.
Okay, let's flip it. What about
think it was-
80-year-olds now?
Okay, 80-year-olds, that's fucking easy. They're about to die anyway. I gotta just breathe them on them when they're
Okay,
gone.
so another question. So now you fought 50 8-year-olds and 50 80-year-olds.
Okay.
Which one? You killed them all. Like you won. Which
80-year-olds,
one?
Are you fucking kidding me? What are they gonna do? Shuffle
No,
at
no.
me like zombies?
Which one makes you feel the worst?
I mean, the 80-year-olds are about to die anyway, so realistically, I'm
I
kind of
just
doing them.
pulled
But I
a
think
pin
it would be
from a
pretty
grenade
sad.
and Throw that in this crowd of 8 years.
No.
I'm sorry,
service.
Grandpa.
Well, okay, why is my grandpa in it now?
Is he 80?
This reminds me of a
You
story.
can't
You
pull a
can,
grenade.
It's like 90 something.
if you play the Once Human game in the retirement home, you can see a story of a nurse going around doing that.
Wait, what? Punching 80? Mine is dead. Well, then you have...
Retirement home. She's going around killing them all, and she's
Okay.
like, okay, there you go.
So let's say 5 30-year-olds, right?
Oh,
And
no,
I
you're
have
fucked.
a partner.
A partner? What, you're gonna pick who? The fucking, Mike
You
Tyson?
don't know who I'm gonna pick? Fuck. He did know who I'm gonna pick.
Like, what the
He
fuck?
knew exactly what I was going to pick.
If you wanna go on a fighting, you can pick anyone in history. I'm pretty sure you're gonna pick Mike Tyson on his pick.
I can
You-
also pick Prime Muhammad Ali. You know, before he
And, Mike Tyson is like... Mike Tyson on his peak, he's more like feral. He would fucking, like, murder everyone. Easy.
Do you think you could go one round with Mike Tyson without getting knocked out?
I would die. I would just straight up die. I don't think that's an option. How much is one round?
You don't. You're saying for 5 mil, right? 5 mil,
No.
right? You couldn't go one round with Mike Tyson.
How much is one round?
You
Like
ain't gotta knock
time?
it out. You just gotta live.
I don't think you would live. I don't think if you're talking about Prime Tyson.
Okay, but I'm asking you. I'm not asking me anymore. I'm asking you.
Nah, fuck that. I'd rather be poor.
You'd rather be poor than
No.
risk getting 5 mil.
Would you go in? Have you seen him on his prime? He beat the guy's ear
I
off
did.
because he was mad.
Okay. What about modern Mike Tyson, right? The one with his ass out on live TV.
Maybe. Can I just run around? You're probably really slow now.
That's actually kind of. Did you see how he hit Mr. Beast, bro? He still got
Oh
it.
yeah, no, yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Bro, he
no,
socked that motherfucker in his chest and he knocked the soul out of him.
I don't think it was expected. That video was my favorite Mr. Beast video.
So what's it they
It would
punched
be
the
so
soul
scared it
into
would kill
him?
Snowy. Oh yeah, it would be so scared it would kill me. Yeah. I don't think he would care,
What's
man.
up, chat? Today on my stream, Mike Tyson punches me.
Fucking dies. Nah, that guy
So
was
you're saying-
scary,
okay,
bro.
so
It's the title of Snowy's next stream.
let's say
Punched by Mike
30
Tyson.
bands, right? Would you take a gut shot from Mike Tyson at full force? Like no holds barred. Like he just socked you straight in your shit. Would you go for 30 bands?
Current. Wait, 30 what?
30 bands, $30,000.
No.
Are you dead ass?
No, for that amount,
Bring it
no.
on. I need the money.
You're
No.
a fucking liar. You're telling me.
If you don't have a
30
good core,
fucking bands in cash
you want a full force.
in front of you.
Can someone Google how many pounds of like force is like on the mic? Because I'm pretty sure they measure this shit. Chad, can you Google how much force is in a Tyson punch? Did you know that you can die from like
Can
a
you
gut
find
punch?
it for me in metric?
Hey Siri. Did you know that like that's
many
how
joules?
that's like you can get punched in here and you can literally die.
No,
Okay,
if you're
but you
punched
might
in the
not die, and if
sternum,
you live to
it'll
get
kill you.
$30,000. You're not considering the possibilities.
I would
If you
not
get
consider.
punched in your stomach, you're just gonna what? Throw up?
No, you can die if you don't like.
In the sternum, you can die.
No, in here under. If you don't like tighten your belly, you will like eat fucking your every internal
Just
organ you
don't
have.
rupture anything like a bitch.
No, you die. If you don't like prepare, you'll die. From
No,
Mike
I'd win.
Tyson, you definitely die. You wanna test
I
that?
just win.
Yeah.
Shit, today we're gonna test
It's
if
all
we
about
die.
mind over matter.
You just think you're not gonna die and then you
Nah,
don't
I'd
die.
win. Exactly.
Exactly.
If I don't want to die, I'm just not going
Just
to die.
stop being
Simple.
immortal.
I'm simply just going to. What the fuck was that?
I can't click. I want to find out how much how much force would kill you if you're punched in the stomach.
Well, if you hit a wall at anything faster than 35 miles an hour, fuck if I know what that is in kilometers, you can die.
Well, yeah.
Okay. All right.
35 is
change the
actually pretty
situation.
much.
Would you eat your dad's
Change-
ass for 20 bands?
No. What the fuck?
This is... I feel like you'd be a lot of fun in the this or that game world.
There's a this or that game world? Is there actually? Hold on. I'll keep
Like,
go
would you
fucking
rather-
platinum in that.
Would you rather have this or that? It's the Snowy is almost always in there every other stream.
Oh, would you rather? No, if I
No,
could
would
make
you rather?
custom
Yeah, we
props,
had
I'd
a-
be fucking lethal.
We had a video. Like we made a bunch of videos on that world. Remember?
Yeah.
I had custom art made for that.
Snowy.
Yeah, I used it for
Oh,
views.
man, good fucking times. They made me so muscular in that thumbnail.
I know, right?
This
Holy
is why
shit!
I love
look
puppies.
anything
The
like
sheer amount of bullshit that
Why
comes out
am
of
I
their
so
mouth is
buff in
amazingly
that
hilarious.
Listen, they said puppy, and I was like, oh damn, yeah, I'm scared. It has
They
to be.
gave you like so much extra meat for what? I'm flattered. But it's not totally accurate.
What do you mean? I saw IRL. You look exactly like the picture.
Oh yeah, you're so. Is there any way I can pull up that picture? Just like I can give everyone a fucking like reference.
Just superimpose it on the stream.
I don't know what I have it
Yeah,
actually.
is
I
there
should
any
find
way
it.
I could like show everyone what the fuck we're talking about?
Alright, you know
real
what? Let me
quick?
find it. Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
please,
Got a
could
pointer and everything.
Because they made
Presentation.
me so fucking unnecessary.
it should be. I have so much like picture things going on. Art
my
maybe.
God.
Thumbnails. Thumbnail. Oh yeah, it is here. Look. Is it this one?
Oh, let me see. Yeah, bro. They made me so buff. Like, dog, I'm
Sweet.
incredibly flattered, and I look great.
It looks so good.
No. It's a great thumbnail. I was just not that buff. They gave me so much like definition.
My favorite thumbnail reaction I have is this one. I love this little dude.
I like how sus you look in that thumbnail.
Hell yeah, bro.
Can you recreate that face right now? Now that you wear gloves and shit.
Let me try. Wait, hold on.
Careful you don't
Alright, let's see it.
fall in the ocean again.
I
I'm
believe
just
in
burning
you.
my ass on
You can
this.
do it.
It's like this, like,
Yeah, don't
right?
worry, it needs to.
And then
Bro, you
need
are
a
not
gloves
the
for that?
thinker. Better play rock paper scissors.
fuck.
You failed with gloves.
I can only make 2 fucking hand gestures.
No, what do you mean?
I don't have my hand chucking on. I can only
You're
throw
gonna do this
rock
one?
and paper. I can't throw scissors.
Yes, you can.
What do you mean you can't do scissors?
I can't.
Well,
Actually, wait, I
It's
think
this. It's this.
I have index controllers. I forgot.
What the fuck? You have index controls and using that?
I deadass forgot I had them. I'm not gonna hold you. I literally bought new dongles just to be able to use them. And
You spent $500 on tech and you forgot you bought it.
Okay, look. They're not new controllers. They're the controllers that kept my index, right? It's just that when my index broke and Spock gave me a request, I kind of couldn't use them for ages. I was only able to use them like last month when I bought dongles, because you have to buy new Watchman dongles in order to connect your index controllers. So
Do you have an
they were
index?
Like $45 each. Not anymore. But I know
Boy.
what you're about to say. That you can use the index as a hub. I know. If I still had my index, I would have done that. I
There
really
you
took
go.
it with them though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I had him like try to fix the index because like a spring broke like on the little like side thing that's
Yeah, like mine is
I
also
don't have any
broken.
more springs. They all fell out. I still
My
use
my
it.
index is on the table, just connected. It's just a dongle.
Yeah, I got too excited watching Nintendo Direct and I stepped
Yeah,
on my
good. I
index.
saw. Yeah.
I
Did you
haven't
ca-
done
wait,
that.
wait, what?
It just the little plastic bits where the spring's attached to literally just dissolved and fell off.
Mine, like, you know, on the index
They
when you turn, like,
dissolved?
sometimes you like you do this, like you put it up.
Yeah,
That was one
It
time.
looks like shards of glass
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
end, and all the springs just came out, and I was just like, "Fuck it!"
So
And here I am, still using it.
the same thing happened to me. I was, you know, that thing in like index, like it like flips, right? I ended the stream.
Yeah.
I did this, and the springs on both sides just like exploded and like went out of it.
Have y'all ever broken your thumbstick before on your index?
I broke the finger tracking part. It's hanging by a thread. It's like vibrating.
Oh, honestly, I'm getting there too. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm gonna get new.
That's why, like,
controllers
these
soon, but I broke
things-
my thumbstick.
These things were so lucky. I was like, oh yes.
I got struck by lightning through my controllers.
What?
What the fuck?
So I was in Ferality, what was it, Luma Festival or Silva? I can't remember which one anymore. I had everything plugged in charging because I was staying connected and staying in
okay.
VR. And
Do it.
it strikes outside somewhere, right? So I hear in my headset a screech, and then my index goes black and comes back. And all this happens, and then from the little button to my thumb, I get zapped real hard, like a painful bee sting. It hurts like hell for a week. And then after all that, right outside my window goes boom.
This is
I
why.
appreciate myself. I can't lie.
This is why
Ember
you're
was
supposed
there.
to turn off your stuff if there's a thunderstorm.
Ember was there Well, no, see, my shit's fucking like quadruple protected. I have a battery backup, several surge protectors, a power filter, and it still went through all that and the little USB charging hub to my thumb, and it was just a little bee sting at my thumb. But Ember was there. He thought something fell over in my room. I was like, no, that was outside.
That's fucking insane. I have like a weather thing, and if there's something with like lightning nearby, I'm like, nope, I am closing everything. I am not risking my PC. If I lose it,
Yeah, that's
I
why I
will
have a
not
battery
be
backup.
able. I will not be able to recover it.
Yeah, the battery
Sack of
backup
shit, dude.
shunted 200 volts
So it's not
AC
touch all
that day.
games. I don't use the Twitch DMs. I didn't
I
like.
have the smart backup where it tells me in a control panel on my PC.
Oh
And
my
it was
god.
like 200 plus
Nerd.
volt amps were fucking shunted that moment. I was
Jesus.
like, thank you, battery backup.
It's free energy.
Well, kinda. It's just static impulse energy, so it doesn't really have much of a store use.
I do remember.
Not with that
breaking
attitude.
my fucking thumbstick though. I was playing
This is
Beat
why
Saber.
Nikola Tesla
I
didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, because it was a nerd.
I was look it up. Hold on.
Did you
You
forget
good?
what you were talking about mid-sentence?
You okay?
Yes. No. Shut up. Anyway, I was playing Beat Saber. I
Okay.
swung my index controller down, and my pants had the fucking like belt loop on them.
Oh,
for,
did like
you know belts
like
and shit.
catch it?
I swung it down, and I swung it back up, and the thumbstick caught on the loop, and I swung back up with so much force it just kind of broke off. And I just sat
You
there
wear
in
pants in
fucking
VR?
I wear shorts.
What kind of fucking question is that?
I don't use pants in VR. I stream with like underwear. Nobody sees
That is
me.
too hot to be in anything but a shirt
Yeah,
and
exactly.
socks.
It was like December. It was cold as fuck.
If you close,
Okay.
like, bro, it's like 10 degrees outside, but my room is at like almost 30.
Just overclock your
That was
PC,
some
you'll make
fucking
up for the
demons,
coldness.
bro. I could never.
That's because of my
I'm in like the coldest part of the U.S.
which is what Canada.
Man, fuck
That's
Canada.
America. I said
I
U.S.
didn't mean that Canada.
Fuck America.
Wisconsin. It's almost Canada.
Yeah,
Fuck
see.
Will Smith. Fuck Walk.
Have you seen Will
Yeah,
Smith
it's still,
having? Will Smith is having like his
-12
midlife crisis
Fahrenheit out
now.
here.
He's like old. He's like old,
say?
he's like old and rapping, and I'm like, oh, this is so sad. Why do billionaires
Wait,
like?
about Will Smith rapping?
Yeah, he's having like his midlife crisis.
I
you
like
licking
pretty
my feet?
girls.
What? It's the first video clip you have of me. What are you complaining about?
Did you
Go
wash
on,
your
it's fine.
ass today?
Anyway, I have one free if you want. I like pretty girl. What is LJ? LJ, bro, no, you know, no, never online. I'm like right here. You have 5 seconds to come in. Every time I stream, he just showers. So it's like, oh, I'm wet. I can join the stream.
He told me one time he needed to take a shower before he got on, and then I
Yeah.
never saw him the rest of the night.
Just shower after.
Guess he never showered.
I saw him the next morning when I woke up. I was like, how the fuck long does it take you to shower?
It's very stinky. That's the problem.
It's all that
Really gotta
love
get
juice.
deep in there.
Yeah, you gotta go deep in the love juice. Technically, his
mean, you just
job
need to-
is literally he touches
Wait,
people.
Look at that.
What?
Just
You
embrace
just
it.
said,
and wear
and
the
I
towel.
quote verbatim, you gotta go deep in the love juice.
Yeah.
And you see nothing wrong with that sentence.
What's his name?
Do you see me? I'm covered.
Yes?
Nah, this is racist. Don't worry about it.
I'd like to switch topics, man.
I don't know what I was talking about anymore. It was like shower and then just.
And you were talking about getting deep in love juice. I mean, hey,
I don't see any problem with that. Do
Hey,
you?
man, you get deep in whoever you want to get deep in as long as they're above 18.
No, I'm not doing that joke.
No need to get religious, okay?
Why wouldn't anyone get deep in LJ?
English or
Exactly.
Spanish? A little bit of Spanish.
I wouldn't.
Whoever moves first is gay. Baby, you got something in your nose. Sniffing that K, did you feel the hole? Hope you find peace for yourself.
God damn, everyone else is having issues with Borderlands 4. I haven't experienced like anything outside of like minor frame drops. What are you
Sorry,
pointing at?
if I moved that, I was gay.
You are gay.
No. I see you on still allergic. Just shower quickly. Quickly
Just
shower.
don't shower, just get on.
Yeah, just get on and we'll go like, oh yeah.
Oh, did Love Juice sit here? Oh.
Is this his bucket? Yo, you wanna
do you hang out with
you wanna
Love
hit?
Juice?
Do you wanna hit?
Oh, fuck yeah, let me get that.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
You see, it's like we have 25
yeah,
sniffs left. We gotta be careful.
Only 25.
Yeah, this is like a smart vape. It tells you how many puffs you're by.
When having adult cuddles with Duke
How do you
ask her if
fucking
she
know
would like
how many
to pog
sniffs
your
are left
champ
in it?
lol.
I'm not asking if you're in bed with someone if you want to pog my champ. I would rather die.
Honestly, it's not a bad idea. I'm gonna test that next time my girlfriend. I'll let you know.
No! There's love juice on his thighs.
Oh, it's Love Juice!
Look, he's pointing at something.
Wait, where am I?
Snowy, I'm
Oh
scared.
fuck!
You're
God
on
damn
the
it!
tail.
I hate. This is from Real. You wanna be my little pog champ? There's a store in Portugal called Longchamp. I'm pretty sure there's like somewhere else too. Pow, 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 pow. Sorry, I keep killing myself because I'm very depressed lately.
Snowy, how many more
Yeah?
times are you gonna walk all the way down here instead of using the teleporter to get down to there?
Oh, there's a teleporter? Well, I like walking. It's immersive.
And
Look,
yes,
I'm so like...
you're right here.
Oh, look, it's my logo. Whoa. See? Look at that. We pay for this shit. It's like branding.
You paid for this?
No, I didn't. You think I'm stupid?
Oh, yeah. Thought you were paying people to walk
Yeah,
around
let
with
me
a
just
fucking logo
pay-
on a
Getting
billboard.
paid in.
Chat, $5 if you put me on your
That'd
ass.
be so funny. Can you imagine paying someone $20 to like hold a sign with you on it in like public furry instances?
Be like
Just
one of
stand
the
there for like
sign
an
flipper
hour
people.
holding a sign.
Like a sign flipper person.
That would go so crazy as like a fucking. Oh, I'm getting terrible ideas. I'm getting terrible
Hold on.
ideas.
Isn't that the same thing as streamers buying booths in Ferality just to advertise their channel?
Hold on. Oh,
Holding.
it's a bucket sensor.
Your server processing. You're loading.
Unpacking? Done.
Unpack
Oh,
his
it's a
dick.
condom.
Wild's opener.
Wait, what? How do I... Does it not work? Oh,
What are you
shit,
talking-
how do
what are you
I...
supposed to be
Plugs out?
doing here, buddy?
Hold on.
Holding. I'm holding. How much longer must I hold
You
it?
can hold me.
I'm edging, Snowy. You're edging me. What? What did you say?
Aw, now I feel bad. You shut Domino out.
Just recruit people to put this avatar on stand in furry hideout instances, saying nothing.
I also have a sign.
And
I
then
don't know
when
how to...
someone asked them about it, had them do a plug,
I don't know how to
and then go
trigger.
back to silence.
Why are
Avatar
you static?
gestures. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it's an avatar. What do we got here? Oh my
You're giving
god.
me a terrible idea. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm getting such a fucking funny idea
I
right
can
now.
make this
I will
public
put
if
that
you
on
want.
my avatar. I will beat people with it if you let me.
This is so old, bro.
I'm getting such a terrible idea.
If people start asking me, "What the fuck's your problem?" I'll be like,
I'll put
Ask
my
them.
ask for $5. I show me proof and I'll give my polyr.
No fucking way.
This avatar is so old, man. It's a fucking Scott.
Is that all it takes to get $5? Fuck it, I'll do it right now. Hold on.
If you right now you put my face in your ass and in that model, I will give you $5.
Oh, say fuck it. Let's open a VR chat, create a companion as we speak.
Let's go back. This
Things I gotta do
avatar,
for
man.
$5.
What do you mean you don't have $5?
It's $5 fucking dollars.
$5. I keep rodding myself. There we
Ooh,
go.
boobies. Oh, and they're gone.
No, it's temporary boobies. I'm sorry. It's
Okay, I'll be sure to
the
act faster next time.
yeah. You just gotta sneak them really quick. I found out like the VRC Fury parameter compressor does this. Like it flashes you a little bit. So if you have a dick in your avatar, do not use the parameter compressor. Just a little tip. Are you actually doing it? Oh my god. You have to wear it for
It
like a
looks
while.
like it.
Oh my God, Snowy! Oh, I'm not gonna make that joke. It's too easy.
Go on.
I'm not Snowy. It's too easy. It's too easy. It would be too easy. Stop touching me, or I'm gonna finish.
There's no laws
I'm on
against the
an action
Pokemon,
streak.
puppy. There's no laws against the Pokemon.
Oh god, I have that soundboard.
I know where to get it. I have no idea what it is. I think it's like one of my
Just get a
folders.
PNG of it, and then just like get a PNG and just Snowy, just throw it on your.
Screenshot the stream. Easy.
Yeah, put a screenshot of the stream on your ass cheeks. Problem solved. Here, we'll pose. Hold on.
Apparently I don't have that soundboard
Thumbnail
anymore.
with me doing like a Mr. Beast face.
Wait,
Oh!
should I point? Oh, if you do the Mr. Beast, should I point at something like to act shocked? What do you normally do in these thumbnails?
You're like,
Am I doing it right?
holding the ears adds so much more like... like...
Watching Snowy VR in the hood, prank gone wrong, gone sexy.
Why would you do
Gone
that?
wrong.
Why wouldn't you is the question.
Watch myself in the hood? I don't think that's a good idea. Mostly because it's me. Oh my god, there's a Furby.
What the hell is that?
Hey guys, I got a pet for you.
Yeah, what's
Water
up?
is good.
I got you a pet.
The fuck is that?
It's a pet.
Why does it look upside down?
Why the fuck is it in the grass?
It does that sometimes.
I'm already not a fan of this.
Puppy has nice
Why does it
hips.
sound like it? What the fuck?
It's a fucking Furby!
Do you like it?
Yeah,
I
I'm
made
good.
it.
I'm
I
good.
made
I'm
it
so good. I'll have to see y'all later.
You need to kill yourselves because I gave you something.
It's a Furby.
Mother.
Like grave violence. I'm gonna pee and refill my bottle. Oh, it's been 2 hours.
do
Probably
both at
changing
the
my
same time.
shirt. That implies I would have to drink it after. I don't like that idea.
Dog, why does the dog
Slayer,
sound like it's in pain?
why? It is in pain.
I think that's called labor.
They are in pain every second of his existence. We have to put him out of their misery when you're done with them.
Snowy, why do they have a wet spot between their legs?
Deductions on my taxes and it
Who,
hurts.
the Furby or
Yes, the Furby.
IRS catch up to you.
do you have do you have a
The
skid
IRS
mark?
is
Wait,
2
what?
thumbs deep in my toilet.
I'm gonna switch my shirts. You guys have good luck. This is good luck.
Dad, can we return this thing to the shelter? I don't want it anymore.
Why are you sniffing its ass?
I consumed the pantry of the shelter. You can't return me.
Nothing outside it.
Oh, look,
witnesses.
Snowy's playing with his ass.
Yeah, what else is new? Well, he's gone. What do we do now? I guess someone's gonna have to
I mean,
step
we
up.
can play with his ass instead.
Well, you know what the saying.
fuck? Why was that?
You know what the
first
saying
thought?
is. You gotta stay digging in your butt, Twin. That's what he's doing.
That's what I be doing. I be digging in my butt, Twin.
How many fingers? I'm up to 4.
I'm getting to 3. I'm moving up to 4 shortly, though.
Shit for the idea.
Rookie numbers. Rookie numbers.
Well, yeah, but that's digging in my butt. I'm not digging in Snowy's butt. There's a difference.
What's the
Why would
difference?
you use
Ass is
more
ass.
fingers for him?
The difference is it's not Snowy's butthole. It's my butthole.
Well, so what? You want to dig in something you don't know if it's shaved or not?
Turned back around.
It's so much funnier in the
Like-
South Park character.
Last I checked, he went to go pee after the out that bathroom. Oh, just like close the door behind him.
I think they call that gonorrhea.
Yeah, I was gonna
No.
say. I think you should get that checked.
Gonorrhea got I got a little discharge in it.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I do not hear either.
See, now I know who's running the show after Snowy leaves.
It's all right. I can be trusted with streams. I'm very appropriate. I'm great for the masses.
Oh, dude, no. Puppy is
I'm
so
FDA
stream appropriate. Puppy is so appropriate. Motherfucker got 2 hands gripped up on this shit, under control.
Exactly. 2 hands gripping. I'm constantly gripping. I'm holding it. I love holding it. I just grip
I mean,
it
if
nice
I'll be
and tight.
I mean, if I'll keep it $150 with you, 2 inches don't need 2 hands, but I appreciate the effort.
Nah, I mean, you know, it's not about the motion. I mean, it's not about the size of it. It's about the motion of the ocean, you know?
No, you're right. You're right. No, see, no,
I
it's 'cause
can't remember a day I was ever wrong about anything.
No, see, it's I live my life by one motto.
Oh, so you have no memory?
Puppy, for you, I live by the motto of little gents making dents. You know, we out here.
Oh, so he's getting raided.
While they're AFK.
Just like that butt earlier.
Oh, wait! I see movement. Does that mean they're coming back?
Snowy is hissing.
Who's the red tree
Loud
tender?
as
This little
fuck.
guy. This Bill Forrest loving goober tree tender.
He will
that guy.
return.
High key, if y'all have not listened to Tree Tender before, that motherfucker could like talk you into anything you want. The smoothest
I don't think
voice
I
I've ever heard in my
have.
life. No, like he high key. I would pay to have him read me a song every night.
That's a lot of people have that opinion about. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna have to hear this for myself. Oh wait, is he breathing? Oh, he's twitching. He's twitching.
Oh, what credit score? Tell me to apply. Twitching.
That's why I don't have a credit card. Wait.
Oh.
I have a great credit score,
I have-
assumedly.
The credit fucking
Yeah.
thing pisses me off because I had a girlfriend in Oregon once. She had like 4 or 5 credit cards, and I had better credit score than she does, and nobody will give me a credit card. And I'm like, what the fuck?
We need existing.
They just
like,
be giving that shit to whoever.
you need existing
And
lines of
whoever
credit and
under
like
a
proof
certain-
of payments and stuff for them to approve you. It's like a whole fucking bureaucracy process.
That's why I can't be
I've
asked.
never missed a payment, skipped a bill, anything like that.
I think like high
And-
key means side. I think my current score is like an 817. I've got motorcycle loan and a credit, and that's it on hand. When I went to apply for the loan, they were like, "Please take this. I want you to have this loan. Can I get you into something more expensive?" I was like, "No, I'm good."
Can I get you to something more expensive? What the fuck?
But No, I was laughing last week. One of my friends, who's my boss at work, he was like, "Boys, them student loans are coming back with a vengeance." He posted a screenshot of his credit score from the last month on the 1st, and then from Wednesday last week, it was like, "Oh, okay, 780, about to get up into the 790s, 550, bruh."
How?
Yeah, we were like, "Brother, what the fuck kind of student loans do you have?" He's like, "Oh, the ones that I haven't paid in 10 plus years." Like, oh, I forget that you like to eat paint chips. You know you have to pay that back, right?
Yeah, about that.
See what had happened. Like, isn't like
basically
integral
said,
that you pay that back?
See, what had happened was, I went to
say you
Chick-fil-A in the
better pay it back,
drive-thru.
but I haven't heard anything since.
They showed me what a party pack of chicken tenders was, and I just went crazy, bro.
I love these
That's
things.
low-key
that are
the
like,
same
it's a
shit I
party
be
pack.
doing.
I was like, that's a fucking meal for me.
I keep forgetting I'm an adult and I can just buy whatever I feel like now.
Exactly, dude. You can just roll through a Chick-fil-A drive-thru, get a party pack, and they're like, "Sir, you realize this is for an entire party, right?" And you go look down, you go, "You see these ankles? You think that can't support this big back? Give it to me."
Ankles? You have ankles still?
I mean,
the chicken in the box, little bro.
Can like pounds at this point. But
I remember going through the Chick-fil-A that's right across from the college. Fucking the drive-thru is just like all the way around the fucking parking lot and then through the window.
Oh.
They have people walking out with fucking tablets taking order. I'm like, is this gonna make it any faster for me to get up there, or can you bring it to me? No.
they usually like take that in advance.
$20 got me a fucking slider and 4 pieces of waffle fries. $20. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Fuck ass chicken restaurant y'all eating at?
The Chick-fil-A has always been expensive as fuck for me.
Oh, that's a problem.
Also, to answer Goots, or pop up in the chat there, he is peeing and not washing his hands right now.
Oh,
He
he's not
looked
peeing
back.
anymore. He's back.
He's
I heard he's got those.
ass.
I heard he's got
asserting
those VR
dominance.
gloves. He was going to use those to dry everything off.
Maybe he's testing those VR gloves in private.
Oh,
Is that
quick
what
goon
those
test,
hand
I
motions
gotcha.
were on his ass?
He was like, 1, 2? Yeah, no, I can get up in there.
So I bet you I could do more than Puppy does.
Hey.
Why am I back in it? Listen, I do not dig in my butt like that. Well, that's a lie. But like,
Puppy said,
I dig in my
pump the
butt for the
brakes.
bit.
Call AutoZone, pump the brakes. Shit, but malleable. Okay, listen.
My booty hole like a
Listen, as
marshmallow.
with most holes on the pelvis region, it's stretchy.
My
Did you
booty
know
hole is just
a
like a teacher. It's tough, but it's fit.
A raccoon. I'm gonna stop now. No.
But a raccoon is bigger than
That depends
other
on how.
animals.
Depends on your toy.
I don't want to.
plan,
I don't
so,
want
you
to get into this conversation.
Puppy said, y'all gonna find out my order numbers, figure out what I got on hand. Nah.
Damn, he's really digging in there. Look at his hand. It's just like
See, I told you,
straight
look
into
at
the
him.
butt.
They're going. He's tickling his tailbone.
Yeah, he's got the pinky swipe and everything.
Yeah, he's
I
just
saw
digging it
Tucker
there. Look at his
stop.
fingers, man. He's digging his fingers in that shit. That's crazy. Yo!
Yo, Puppy. Officer, I swear, winked at me
He's
first.
doing that hook. He's going for that G spot. See that? He's doing that twist hook.
No, bro. Twist and sniff. It's a new lottery.
Oh, he's going for the 3-finger stinger straight to the prostate. Oh my god. That's
Finger
a
gun.
combo.
He just finger gunned it.
Oh my god. He's going crazy. He's flipping us off.
I'm no specialist, but I don't think that's TOS.
It's fine. It's fine. There he is. welcome back. Did you wash your hands?
No.
Fucking nasty.
Why would I?
So,
Oh, you're right. You got
so we appreciate your attempted colonoscopy for us, but I think you missed a few spots.
No, I got it right where I wanted.
Oh, okay. And I think you beat Puppy's record for fingers in the butt.
How much was that?
3.
3?
Yes.
Oh. Oh.
The only difference was you didn't.
Are you fucking muted now?
What? I'm texting someone. Get off my dick.
Oh, okay. I was like, why is one of my hands not working?
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not there yet, but okay.
There we go. The tracker was off. I went to like pee and refill my bottle. What the fuck happened? I was like colonoscopy and like fingers up the ass. Like, what the fuck?
You
I
peed
was
to
just-
refill your.
Don't
bottle?
worry, you'll see it in your VOD later if it's still there.
I don't watch my own VODs. Fuck that. It's cringe.
Alright, well then your editor will highlight it.
Oh. There we go.
Did you just put your camera somewhere?
What the fuck is that?
You were doing... I was putting my... Oh, what is
Fingers
that?
in your butt, we know.
I was putting the gloves on.
That's
And
what
then
you do
finger
when
in your
you
butt?
put- Okay. Wait, hold on. You store your gloves in your butt? Is that what we're getting here?
Yeah, what else would you do it?
Oh my god.
There
He
you
really
go.
was going for a colonoscopy.
I don't have a pocket. I just got like... There you go. Also, that was a raid. Thank you for the raid, whoever raided. I was seeing things. Oh, 3! 3! Where 3? 3.
One were born with one pocket. 2 if you're a girl.
Only 2.
Facts.
Slayer, thank you for the 5. There you go. You gotta have that.
I mean, you could keep it in your mouth. So you could use your mouth for other stuff usually. So.
If you don't talk, you have 3.
Snowy?
What the fuck are y'all talking about?
Snowy?
Anal storage.
Huh?
This Domino is over here summoning demons.
Oh, Domino does that sometimes.
Yo, look at this big ass fish.
Be careful with the demons.
Huge.
Last time we did it,
Came over here to
we...
give them head pats and they're like, shoo, shoo, shoo.
You're right.
Yeah, they magic, they're learning. Getting better.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's
And
a
just
bucket.
like that, it's gone. No, it was in my butt.
Wait, what was in your butt?
Go on.
What was in your butt?
Go on.
Is that
will not
a
be
spider?
I
Elaborate.
require context.
DirecTV.
And you will not receive it.
Wow, why do you hate us so much?
I DM'd you, you can DM it there.
Can you get us HBO Prime?
I want to stand on this spear where all the cool people are.
No.
Here's the way I'm putting your face on my obvious. No, I want to see
Hey,
that.
if the cool people are meeting up.
Yeah, I should probably leave because they're coming here soon.
Wow, alright, fuck you.
Mad at me that I got my edge.
This is like cool
Why do
people
you hate us so
here.
much that he calls me a loser and fat? Wow. L streamer.
No, I call you fat and then a loser. It's like reverse role.
I apologize for getting the order.
I'm sorry, I like you. There's a hug, a very awkward hug.
No,
there
he
you go.
doesn't. He hates
you
me
feel
so
better?
badly, and
You
he
feel
hates
better?
me, and he hates me. No.
Is it working? Is this how it works? I don't know, man. Like, still,
Nah,
like, I'm
pay
gonna
probably
stroke your
$20
back.
off
There
the
you go.
bat.
Give him a reach around.
Oh yeah, it's like. Isn't that from the back? Like.
No.
I mean, neither of y'all wearing pants, so that's an equal opportunity fight right there.
No one's wearing pants.
Exactly.
I'm not wearing pants. Ooh, that's a catfish.
Well, yeah, you were
Oh.
never wearing pants. That was established.
I'm not wearing any pants.
Me.
Raise your hand if
Snowy,
you.
I know you're not.
He doesn't even
Did
wear
you
pants
know-
when he has to in real life.
The first thing I do when I get home is I take my pants off, like immediately.
No, literally during TwitchCon back, fuck, was it 3 years ago, something like that? Was it 4 or 3? 3 or
That was
4
a
years,
while.
I can't remember. Yeah, the fucking Airbnb, as soon as we get there, he's like, alright guys, hold on, they just pants, boxers, roll around. Alright, we're comfy up. I was like, alright.
Pants are restrictive. I was like, ugh.
Also, I hate,
No, they're not.
I also,
Yes,
I
they
hate
are.
during that.
Yes,
I
they
hate
are.
during that Airbnb stay, these motherfuckers did not stop me from ordering a bunch of liquor on a
in the
delivery
settings,
app.
disable having to reel it.
I was drinking a whole bottle of like honey jack by myself.
In the
I was
settings,
like,
you can
"Good
disable
riff."
having to reel
That was so fun. I need to go to start another one again.
Yeah.
The catching the
Having a
fish
job
only part.
sucks. It limits you. Like I can like pick 2 weeks
yeah,
out of the
where's
year
the
to do
fun in that?
things.
I
It's
wanna
like
earn it.
fuck.
Fuck that! I want it in the bucket.
No, this is not LJ. Okay,
That's your prerogative.
it's pretend LJ.
Pretend LJ is crazy.
LJ. Discount LJ.
You get, but
Wait,
you
does
get the
that
money.
Snowy ever
Yeah,
talk
but
about
like you
pretend
sell
Snowy?
your so. Oh, do you want to be pretend Snowy? I can give you
Money,
one.
money, money.
I would love to be pretend Snowy.
Which one do you want?
One of them. Any one of them.
I've been making my avatars public because it's like fuck it, I don't care anymore. Do whatever you want.
Hey, speaking of, I did that with this.
Here, what Furby do you guys want? I got Biscuit Fister, Dalton,
There you
we got
go.
Snowy
This
Fluff,
one.
Aether, we got Dervish, we got
Why is there
Pharaoh,
so
we got
fucking many?
Cuckoo, we got Jerry, we got Gumbo, we got me, we got me. Which
You can
one
have
y'all want?
mine. It's this one right here.
Hey guys, I'm Snowy. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Why did you make your voice
Hey,
like deeper?
We'll just
I don't know what a Norwegian accent sounds like.
I'm not fucking
Here, we'll
Norwegian.
Alright,
Oh my
puppy, this is
god.
how a Norwegian accent
Fuck,
is.
wait, okay,
You
that-
stick them down your throat, then talk.
Oh my god.
Let me actually try that. Hold on.
That was pretty accurate actually.
That sounds just like him. I can't tell the difference.
Knifey. Yeah. Right, you're the Mr. Streamer now. Like I'm just like your support
Is that a
like
fucking-
Oh, okay.
person.
Hey, chat, it is me, Snowy VR, and today we are going to talk about Norwegian
Why am I Indian?
prisons. Dude,
He's Middle Eastern now.
Yeah. Like,
You may as well come in here.
I'm sorry,
Don't
he's
they read-
Palestinian.
Don't read deep.
do not redeem the card! Do not redeem!
God.
Hi, Lucky. You mean this shiny person? Very shiny. It's mostly because it's covered in something. Ow, ow, ow.
We definitely need to speed Furby.
How do I sound like Snowy?
Everyone that tries something like me
Hey
just
guys,
gives me
it
like a
is me,
Russian
Snowy
accent.
VR, and today we are going to
I'm
make
not Indian!
YouTube video.
Why do I become
Omegle-
Indian?
Oh, shut up! Shut up! Today we are going to make Omegle
I still
YouTube
use
video.
fucking
So everyone
like
please
proper
make sure to
grammar.
subscribe,
I'm
and
like,
if you
hello
do,
chat,
I will
today we're
give you
making video. Yes,
more
video, very
pictures
much
on my
video.
Twitter.
Today we're going to be calling Esra out of Georgia. I'm going to be telling her that I'm from a credit card company and that she's past due and that the FBI.
I actually,
Today we are going to be
okay.
on Omegle VR, everybody. I'm ready.
I got
Okay, let's
so
go.
happy. A few months ago, I got
Hello,
called.
I am on Omegle.
Listen,
Who are you,
I-
stranger, on Omegle?
bro, I did Omegle 5 years ago. Get over it. Like, get over it, then. Jeez.
Did you just do it like one time too?
Get over it.
Nah, I did a bunch of them. I do want to do them again. They're kind of fun if I fuck
Hey
with
guys,
them.
it is me, Snowy
They have
VR.
a
I'm
new
returning to
website
my old
because
ways and making
Omegle shut
Omegle
down
videos
shit.
again. I will be
What kind
uploading
of-
5 Omegle videos a day.
What kind of intro is that? Hello, guys.
I will
It is me.
also be collabing with Flair to make porn parody
Why am
of
I
the Lego
Indian?
movie.
Variant is Indian. I love it.
Hello, guys. I got a job at Microsoft.
Oh my god. That,
I don't know how to do the accent. It's so hard.
I know, right? It's pretty unique, actually.
Whose Furby is it before I give you the hint?
That one? I have no idea.
I don't know.
It's like right there in your
That
name.
guy with the fucking dog avatar.
I'll give you one hint. Did you know?
Oh god.
Is it that guy that says like really sus shit before giving actual facts on their TikTok? Is it that guy?
That's Goku's.
I know that guy.
Rylot knows how to do a voice, but Rylot has been banging Kevin non-stop, so I haven't seen them in like months.
Wow, this really makes me feel like Snowy VR.
Oh, here, I'm just
I know, right? Doing my stream key?
Really? You feel
And
dumb?
now I'm going to run around in public world yelling slurs.
There we go. Just lock in.
It's okay, I'm like half
Yeah, that sounds
loud.
about right.
You just stop in the middle of the word and it should be fine.
That can't look promising behind them.
Oh,
on the stream.
wait, I got another one. I got another.
Speaking about racism, you know what like ruined Burger King for me?
I don't
Was
know
it the
that one.
fucking Burger
I went to
King
the
guy? Is that where
Burger
this is
King
going?
and like we sat on the table and they gave us the crown and I was like, guys, I'm gonna do now.
Hold on, wait.
I love sending the picture of the crown to people.
Streamer.
Oh my god, it's Ray, Mr. Ray's.
Hey guys, it's me, Romu Raisu, and
Whoa.
I'm going to talk about Final
Did you
Fantasy
play-
Online for the next hour.
Did you also play Laserdome today?
Oh, I love Laserdome. I love when I invite all my friends to a Laserdome collab, only to know that I'm going to kick all of their collective asses because no one plays Laserdome as much as me, and despite having that knowledge, I will continue to invite them to Laserdome collabs because I like to curse on my friend. I'm a little salty.
Tell me how you really feel. I don't feel
I
like
think
you.
you,
got
I
across
think
on
you
camera
lost.
Do you need a break?
I think someone lost on Laserdome. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I won. That's the funniest bit. I won. I just
Probably
hate
got carried.
I hate
Good
him.
night,
I
Reg.
love him to death. That's my fucking homie, and I would die for him. But it's
Oh
like
my
at the same
God,
time,
it's the
I
skippy
can't
furry.
fucking like play Laserdome with Rice. He's a demon. I don't
Fucking
understand
skippy
how we.
furry.
lose
Wait, it
like
was
that.
this. It was this. Someone had this. Who the fuck had this?
Well,
I was
all my
talking
mods
to
are public
someone.
uploads, so.
A horrible thing I've ever seen.
Do you want me to send you the Unity package? It's ready to go.
Sure.
Prefabbed.
Someone I was talking to someone with this. What was
Oh,
it?
yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Sure,
I was like,
fuck it,
why
yeah,
do you
why
have that? And they were like, oh, Foodman. I'm like, oh,
Why
fuck's
not?
sake.
Fuck it. I'll.
Oh, that's a. What is that? That is very interesting.
It's a wagon.
It's a wagon with tits.
Yeah, they've always had boobies.
Oh yeah, okay.
This is true.
I want
This
the
is
wagon
most
so
people
much.
that are-
It's so cute.
Dude, I've
Get a wagon. What is stopping you? You have like 16 other avatars and not a wagon. It's
Money.
natural evolution.
Here, this is
Chat.
the one that we uploaded for
I
Farrah's
kinda-
booth
wait,
for
hold on.
holiday here.
I kinda closed chat. I cannot see you, chat. Hold on. Shit, I'm blind. Gotta snipe the dock. I love accidentally closing everything. Lucky I have the UD cap gloves. Can I? It's so. Why did I make the menu so small? Shit. Shit, not stealing information.
What menu?
You know what? I'm just
I
gonna
don't
go.
see anything up there.
Yeah, boo-hoo then, skill issue.
Oh my gosh, Snowy's touching me. Oh god. I have to cut off my arm and sell it on eBay. I'll make a banger.
Touch me harder.
Whoa.
Oh fuck! I was a. God damn it. Man. Ah. Okay, how do I get you back, chat? Hold on. Oh, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Alright, you're right there. There we go. Skibidi toilet. That I cannot believe that fucking shit meme is still alive, man. But yeah, like I have the UD cap. I think they're called UD cap VR gloves. I'm like testing them and they are pretty cool. I probably need to like calibrate them because I went AFK for a bit. But yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of really intuitive. Like no complaints so far. I guess they're getting a little bit hot because you know it's gloves. But yeah, no, they're really cool. And I can point properly.
Hey,
Short people are not stupid. I'm hyper intelligent.
Debatable.
Explain Snowy.
Do you know? Do you know?
Snowy VR is a Twitch streamer, and I goon to his streams.
Oh
Oh, yeah, I knew that already. Do you know what I found out I can do now? Look at this.
What can you do now? Couldn't you have always done that?
No, but now it's better.
Before?
You can kind of
You
do
were
that
stopping
already.
Now
me.
it's better because he has electronics on it.
Yeah, now I am. Now I'm making my mouth all like taste like plastic. It's so much
See?
better.
Now I'm
Yeah,
dancing with danger because if I get too much spit on one of the fingers, the whole thing's cooked.
Oh boy, microplastics.
That's what makes it different.
We don't care about microplastics. It's in our balls already, so it's whatever.
Now,
Exactly, dude. See, I'm not
can't-
worried about
you
the
can't goon with your
microplastics.
gloves
You're gonna be born with
What I'm worried about is
microplastics,
the fact that I don't get enough macroplastics in my diet. I keep trying to
Yeah.
chew through candy bar wrappers, but like I don't feel like I'm getting enough in me.
Fetish, like in
I
the same
don't
way they do
think-
macro.
just have mayonnaise.
I drink that already, but like it's
Yeah, that's plenty of microplastics.
No, you want
Doesn't have
macros.
enough
You want
polymers.
macros.
I need to chew. I need to get caught in my gums and cause a little bleeding on the way down. You know.
No, it'll just lodge in your intestine and make you not absorb nutrients anymore.
That's what
Perfect.
see, weight plan. You know the trick.
It's free.
Weight loss dieting.
It's either
101.
that if you want it over time, that's what you
I'm
do
taught
with
to
the mayo.
swear.
If you want it now,
Yes.
you get a tapeworm.
Please.
See, but the tapeworm makes you shit liquid for like 3 weeks. I'm not trying to do that.
I don't
Why?
want to tape.
Yeah, but where do you think that liquid is?
What?
Microplastics are stored in the
liquefied fat
balls.
just leaving your body.
Oh.
I really didn't think about it.
I store microplastics in my balls.
We all do.
Hell
We're not
yeah, brother.
special.
I fuck you, Snowy.
I store it on my body.
Did you know like the best way
As
to
you
lose
can see
weight
it.
is being poor?
Oh,
I am poor, but I'm still fat. What does this mean?
That means your budget is like
Actually,
wrong.
That's false. When your body starts recognizing that it's getting less food, it starts storing everything.
Yeah, so you don't eat.
This is true.
You get fatter.
Not
less
if you
you
don't. Not if you eat zero.
Lizard.
No, if you don't eat, your body's not gonna. It's gonna retain fat because it doesn't know what it's gonna eat.
No,
gonna
it's not.
retain So the
water.
next
If
time you
you-
eat, you'll just
if
retain
you-
more fat.
Yeah,
You'll
that's
get
the
fatter.
problem. The next time you eat, your head is all like thinking the wrong. Like there's not gonna be next time. That's the key.
This is like the argument of like perpetual hope. If you're about to starve to death, if somebody hands you a sandwich and makes you go a little bit further, can you do that infinitely?
No,
No, because then I get
That's
tired
the
of eating
same
sandwiches.
concept.
you'll die eventually. You may go a little bit longer.
Like you have to walk somewhere or whatever, and you're gonna collapse with.
Oh yeah, here's
if
the
somebody
thing
just
about that.
eggs you on with a sandwich, can you go the rest of the way?
No, for one reason.
Then how's yours any different?
You will never survive that because if you get to that point, no matter what anyone gives you, you won't recover. Like if you get to a point where you're like
So if
super
you
thirsty,
don't ever eat, that's any different?
you can eat like after 3 months, you'll be fine. So are you telling me you
3
starve for
months
you starve for like 3 months and then you eat a pea and you get immediately obese?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
That's the human body.
Dude.
I mean,
I'm
at least if
imagining
you eat a pea
someone-
from America.
Starving to death and then they're like, let me eat this pea. They're like, fuck.
First time I ever seen vegetables have trans fats in them was
Wait,
I'm
what?
a trans fat.
Like how seriously you said that.
like
See, I
when
can
did
say that.
we start getting
I'm fat and
cholesterol from our
trans.
vegetables?
Listen,
That surprised
The best thing
me.
to do is like, you make a joke like that. That's like kind of, like not fucked up, like kind of, on the limit, and then people laugh and you stare at them, like seriously for like a while, and then you see the laugh like go down, like ha ha.
Yeah, I just fucking. Why are you laughing?
Wait, why do you? This is not.
What's funny?
Why are you laughing?
Elaborate.
Cry, bitch.
I only shit myself in the drive-thru one time. Why are you laughing?
Only once. That's rookie numbers. Get those up, buddy. I shit myself at least 5 times a week, twice in a drive-through.
Can I get a
Just for fun.
McDouble and a Chicken nugget.
Yeah, I just I roll into the window. I have them handing my order. I grab the
Bye,
bag while I'm still
Domino.
holding it, and I just hold the bag and just start shitting myself. Direct eye contact, just shit myself.
Intimate, direct eye contact. You're looking at them, just.
Yeah,
That
just
was
smiling,
for you.
holding the bag, just like letting it fucking rip, staring deep into this.
God, you're
And I
letting
let it
it
hang
rip.
for 2 minutes.
I
and then
have
leave.
lost control of what's happening. I apologize.
I gave one of my
Oh, dude.
drive-through buddies the
Puppy,
one chip challenge once.
Oh god, you're sitting there letting it rip, and it sounds like someone's spreading drywall spackle under the fart.
What?
Just fucking like you're just sitting there like, and then it's like,
I love that I can have these
Oh,
hyper-intelligent
God.
conversations with like-minded people.
Oh, I switched the thing by accident.
listen.
So I have
Listen.
to point out that my mom's probably gonna watch this because she loves this kind of humor.
Why is your mom watching this? No.
Wait, your mom's gonna watch this? Hi, Food Man's mom.
Food man.
No.
My mom.
The other
Man's
mom,
mom's
not that
gonna
one.
Be home for a long time.
I don't know who's talking. It's one of you.
I'm over
I
here.
lose track of.
It's right there.
Don't correct me, kitten. Don't correct me.
Can I not be seen? What the fuck? Look at me, bitch. I'm a cum drop.
I don't like this anymore. I'm gonna take
That's
this
right.
out now.
Purr. Now use your hand and stroke it.
That's fucking. That's wild.
I feel like we're veering
How about
into
we
some,
don't
like,
do that?
wrong site territory.
Oh shit, am I streaming on Twitch? I should be streaming on the other one. No, I'm just...
This
I
should be
missed you,
streamed on a
bud.
different side, I feel.
Nah, we can't anymore. They banned us, remember?
There's another one.
There's another one? What's the other one? Elaborate.
I don't know if I can say it out loud.
I actually don't know. There's
you mean
OnlyFans,
joystick?
Fansly, and like...
Yeah.
It's just a bet. Who made that? Oh my god. Why would you name it that? Yo, I wanna play with my joystick?
Well, yeah, that's literally
I'll
what
play
it is.
with your
That's what it's
joystick.
for. That's what it's for.
What if I'm a woman?
They play with the joystick.
Button mash.
Like playing Ozu or like...
You're not wrong. You gotta tune in the dials too.
Have you seen that video that's like Wait, oh fuck, I need to find it. Wait, hold on. This is funny. I don't know how to Google this, but this is funny. Hold on, you're my PC now. Like, wait, hold on.
Is
Where's
this
the
where we
thing?
make out?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Oh boy, can I get next?
Is it this one?
Alright, puppy, you're in Snowy's server.
Fuck.
Oh, they forgot my name already.
Hunt you down. Puppy goes poop.
Is it this one?
On occasion, but girls don't poop. I have to act like I don't.
Yeah, this one. Puppy. Puppy.
Oh shit! I took my estrogen. Oh god.
Listen,
Fuck, I
Puppy.
can't believe that's what reminded me to take my estrogen.
Oh, yeah.
You're not a girl that poops. You're that bitch who shits. We love it.
LJ,
fucking
come
man.
back. Puppy. Puppy.
Well, I
Puppy.
got
Puppy.
estrogen like real. Yes,
Puppy.
yes.
Before you take the... No, you go do that. You go do that.
I have it in front of me. I'm about to pop it. I would just. What do you need to tell me?
Take your antibiotics.
So, do you know that men are really easy to pleasure, right?
What?
Okay, I'm gonna repeat. You know
Well,
what
you can-
men are really easy to pleasure, right?
You know, it'd be funnier if they made it in like a
Okay,
drinkable
hold
syrup.
on.
You could call it trans fluid.
So this is how it feels to... Puppy, I need you to focus, puppy.
I'm so listening. I'm taking
I'm
my
focused.
estrogen.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna send you a video, and this is how it feels to pleasure
is
a
your
woman.
estrogen?
Okay, there you go.
I had to take spiralactone as well. It's the T blockers, and then the actual.
It's this
estrogen.
video chat.
Yeah, but you made it sound like it was, filling your mouth.
I love this thing.
No, I kept getting fucking sidetracked because Snowy kept saying my name.
I'm trying to get you what you mean that I really like. Okay, I'm bonding. We're bonding.
What do you want me to watch?
Okay, listen.
bonding with me.
Listen. No more bonding. Now I'm bonding. So,
My allotment's over. Okay.
Alright, all three, I'll show some
This is so
skivvy
hard,
armor
man.
ready to go.
Skivvy.
okay, I'm trying to make a.
Unity
I'm
by
trying to make a
Jesus.
finger. So, that video is how it feels to pleasure a woman. I want you to play it.
Let me see.
Like, hit it, Bob.
Here, I'm gonna
With sound.
change into a Furby here, and I'm gonna go stare
What
at you
the
guys from the tree that I brought my dog outside. I'll be back.
That's so funny. I love that guy. That's how it feels. It's not that bad. You're making me feel look like a fucking weirdo. I just sent like a fucking porn or something.
Yeah, Snowy sent me like a 3-minute video of him butt naked. I don't know why.
It's that meme. Hear it, Bob.
Wait, hold
Meow.
You literally just spent like 10 minutes licking my face, and you're worried about a porno now?
I don't see the correlation between those two statements.
I'm covered in cum.
We're bonding with my friends,
I'm
chat.
scared.
Bonding. Back to that.
Bonding? What
I'm
do you
not
do?
into
Bond with
bondage.
people? Not bondage.
I mean, you're really close if you bond that way.
But I don't like pistachio. Then why did you ask for it?
Because it's green.
I love pistachio.
I hate pistachio.
Yeah.
the fuck do you
Pistachio
hate
ice cream is
pistachio?
actually pretty good.
It's so
I've
good.
never had it. Just the idea of it sounds gross.
Hello, Snowy went from straight to gay, then back to straight, then was sus. Listen, it's like I hit you from like every side. You don't know what's coming. Like, oh, straight finger. Like, it's like a multi like.
Hollywood used to
Everyone
be.
knows you're a homosexual.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Why do I, so if I'm so homo, why do I like you then? Haha.
Why would you say that? That's so mean. Why would you,
Oh, fuck off.
That's right, cry harder.
you say that? It's so mean.
You guys should cry harder.
You hate me so much.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Come on.
Cry, bitch.
What if I
This
start
jar-
crying so hard that I start shitting? Then what are you gonna do?
I don't think that's how it works.
Wait, what?
Want to find out that's how it works?
What do you mean?
They just say shitting tears.
Is it
I
what
don't
you
know
do?
What the fuck's
Like-
happening? What are they
like you
talking
go-
about?
It's a fucking
You go,
movie.
you go to a funeral and there's like quiet and you start sobbing and like. Sorry.
My fault, y'all. I shit when I'm sad.
I wish I shit when I'm sad.
You're all trick-or-treaters coming back for that ass. If I didn't get that butt last year, then this year's getting smashed. I ain't pulling up in no granny costume because that shit hard to run in. I'm pulling up in a tracksuit. We really gonna get this fun in. What the fuck? What that mean?
Are you okay?
Yeah, why?
Those DMs are like pretty interesting.
I don't think
I'm
they're
just
okay.
looking at the 3 naked pictures Snowy sent me. I'm analyzing the girth and length.
Oh, okay. Why the girl?
Excuse? Where? Send me those.
I need some normal friends. Is there anyone?
Excuse me.
You don't want normal friends, buddy.
I know what, you're right. Being normal is boring.
Being normal is just like being a pleb. Why would you want to be a pleb? Be yourself.
What if I'm boring? I'm a pleb.
Not with that ass.
What do you... You can be a pleb and have
You're all
ass now? I
trick-or-treaters coming back for that.
feel like I'm like a drunken dream chat. This is like a drunk stream, but without the alcohol.
We
I
should
can
do
get
it.
some
Actually,
alcohol.
no, wait, never mind. Never mind.
I do want to do what you love.
No, I did that.
You sip like with people now. Like
I had a
to...
gummy.
The
I wanna
last time did a
re-
drunk
I wanna
stream with
re-
MOSFET was
I
me
wanna-
roasting people for sonas and the twist. My bad, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna sit on you. There you go. I want to do a you love you lose with all the guests, but like sipping this time. Stop nutting. I'm just sitting. I'm a cat, and that's
Okay.
weird.
I can
I'm
suck
Shane
your dick.
Dawson. Walked right the fuck into walked straight into It's
Well, let's
easy.
let's redo this. There you go. I'm 5.
It's just as that triple, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know how to follow up from this. You got me there.
Of course I got you there, Snowy. I've always had you.
Oh,
Anyway,
wonderful.
The
Huh?
last time I did a drunk stream was that Persona like roasting
will you
stream,
put
and
your
every time we
Yappy
saw a
on the
blue
hub?
Persona, we had
We
to
all know
drink.
your Patreon
I was
is
like
just
6
for that.
shots deep, and I was
When will we
fucking
see old
blasted.
Yappy on the hub from
Blue,
you
that
lot?
is not
Can't
good.
do that it was fucking like that old smoky moonshine shit.
What do you mean we'll see you ERP on the hub? $500. No, I'm not. I don't ERP. I don't know why you guys.
Is that all
keep
it
think-
takes?
Listen, I sound really sus, but I'm actually very shy. I don't do this for less than like. No, I'm Ooh.
I'll take care of you.
Look, I found bubbles.
Oh my god, Mr. Bubbles! That's my
I
favorite
knew it. I
Twitch streamer.
fucking knew it. Oh my gosh, D Bubbles. This is when he was born.
Oh yeah, throw it all over me.
No, you can have it. I'm
Like,
just gonna.
stop.
Yeah. Why did you add the other names? I don't. Okay, listen. I don't take ERP requests live. Okay, this is. I know this is a shock.
That insinuates that you take them, just not live.
Yeah. Okay. So for. So yeah, you know what? I have another question for you.
I have an answer.
So. Let me think about this because it's very, very deep.
Go ahead.
It's very deep.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That it's deep.
I will bite you.
Ask the question. Just ask the question.
Oh shit! I moved the thing. Hold on. I moved my whole VR. Shit! There you go.
Peek behind
Shit!
the curtain.
Shit! You didn't see anything of that. You didn't see any of that. You didn't see any of that. You didn't see any of that. It's so hard to put things into place in the VR. God damn it! Oh, now I moved shit. Oh, I fucked
Take
the
your
whole
time,
thing.
buddy. You'll get there.
I fucked the whole thing. You know what? This is a stream now.
Classic Snowy VR.
This is a stream now.
You know.
Fuck! Okay, let me fix this shit. God damn it. Oh. There we go. This is even funnier than a normal stream. Alright, this is totally normal. What do you mean? Are you insinuating that my other streams are normal? Okay. Okay, I think it's okay. Alright, puppy.
Yes.
Puppy, deep question. Alright,
Okay,
so
what's your deep question, buddy?
imagine this. Like, you have a boyfriend, right?
Okay.
Lizard.
I have a girlfriend.
Okay, no, I need to redo this. I need to redo this then. No, you know what? That's fine. No, that's fine. That's even more fucked up. Yeah, that's okay. So you have a girlfriend, right?
Right.
Hypothetically, like you know you don't, but like hypothetically, if you have one, one day, I'm just talking to your boobs. Hold on, let me switch this camera. There you go. One day, your girlfriend switches bodies with your dad. Okay?
I'm still hitting. Put a bag over it and keep it pushing.
Which one though? Like,
I'm not fucking my dad. I'll fuck my girlfriend on my dad's body though. Put a bag over it. Let's go. Turn the
Well,
lights
that's. You know what? You answered this like too quickly. I don't like this. I don't like this. So
If
you
it's
would.
still my girlfriend, just in my dad's body, it's still my girlfriend.
Yeah,
right?
but then like.
If I turn the lights off, put a blindfold on, and put a bag over her head, it's really no different.
Are you sure it's not different? I think you could feel a difference.
It's probably gonna be a little tighter, if anything.
Should I have asked this question to someone else? I should have asked this to someone else.
Chose the wrong fucking person to ask this question to.
Like, can I do both at the same time?
Oh, I
LJ.
Jesus Christ.
LJ, save me.
I'm lagging. Oh my good golly gee willikers.
LJ, save
That's
me.
Snowy.
Save me. They're
What's
being
it?
weird. Hug me. They're being weird.
Hi.
Go away, Snowy. We ruined the moment.
And I quote verbatim,
What moment?
if my dad and my girlfriend switch bodies, would I fuck my dad or my girlfriend in my dad's body?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question.
If my hold on, if my dad swapped bodies with my girlfriend, who do I
Right.
fuck?
Yeah.
Why would you fuck any of them? Why can't you just
Because
be
you
a
gotta-
decent human being and not
you
fuck
gotta-
each other?
Because you gotta.
I'm
You gotta like. You gotta undo it.
No, that's true.
Can you take the cheese off
You-
my
you
head?
undo it?
Do it. I'll fuck my dad and my girlfriend's body, turn the lights off, blindfold, bag over her head, problem solved.
Okay, see the way you're
But
talking
would
about it,
you
I don't.
fuck your girlfriend in your dad's body?
Yeah, that's what I just said. That's what I said I was going to do. I'm
No,
not
you said
fucking my
you'd
dad.
fuck your
Okay,
dad
no,
and your
you're not doing
girlfriend's
that, puppy.
No, it's not.
This is This is like a you're not. I feel like the way you're talking, you're planning on doing it. I was like, I will, dude. I'm gonna.
In the event, I'm not going to do it. I'm just prepared in the event that it happens.
He's getting ready to do it in Minecraft.
Does puppy
God
have the
damn it.
form on? No.
What?
I'm so sad.
No.
I'm not
gotta-
into war like every other furry streamer appears to be.
I started that,
What?
okay,
What
when
do
it
you
wasn't
mean?
when it wasn't funny, and now it's like everywhere, and that's not funny anymore.
A good moss is a
When
good
was
moss. It
that
doesn't need to be
funny?
vor.
It's a kid juice, kid juice.
Solid point.
Look,
Well,
I know,
have to
I
make
know.
I'm
my
gonna like
grand
nah
departure.
nah.
Oh
Goodbye,
the
Mr.
thing.
VR.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
I'll remember you forever.
Say the magic word.
Oh, there is something. There's something new on Xiaomi, which I still need to put on my avatar.
You're gonna go be.
Oh shit. Hold on.
You're gonna go
Oh,
be
where am I? Where am I? I
I'm gonna go
teleported
sell-
myself.
Never mind. I'm just.
Sorry, I came out of.
Oh, you're gonna go sell bathwater now?
You gonna
Sure.
go?
I'm leaving.
Well,
Yes, I'm leaving.
Why are you leaving?
because you're
'Cause-
gay.
Here, we
I'm
don't
tired
have to
and
be here
also.
I literally showered and the first thing I did was get this fucker.
Here's my hand.
Oh.
Well, yeah, he's still
Yes,
gonna be here.
man.
I'm just vanishing.
Yeah.
Here's my hand.
It's
Whoa.
See,
whoa,
I'm 9 to 4.
wait, hold on.
Eats their arm.
that's deep throating.
Echo. I'm like,
I'm not
oh.
into war. I can't
Wait,
stress that enough. I'm not into war.
Do you suck
Yeah,
a dick
chat,
and
clip
think it's
clip
vor because
this.
it's like a popsicle?
Do not clip this. I am
You
not
don't
into
swallow
war.
it. It's not vor.
Well, I mean, look at them. You know they swallow.
Yeah, they look like they swallow. I like the first way.
Froze and then ceased to
my
exist.
camera's like over there. I'm sad. Why are you pulling my hair?
I like this. I like. Hold on. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move.
Alright, chat, we're gonna find the right target. I am so sorry. I'm like, this is like, I'm like half sleep drunk, so we're gonna find a rating target.
ERP now. You guys need to go. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
what?
sorry.
Sleep
Like,
drunk?
this is, we do this daily, obviously. Who is streaming right now that I know? Hold on, let me see.
How did he just say half?
What? What do you have?
Right, let me do this on my
half.
Huh? Half? What do you mean half?
Is that what you mean? Are you saying half?
Why are you being fucking? You're being
I've never
xenophobic.
heard that. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So
Because
being
I have a-
xenophobic is what Love Juice is doing by stretching and pulling at you.
How is that?
Are you a xenophobe? Are you a xenophobe?
I'm a
There
xenophobe.
you go.
I'm scared of xenas. What is that? I'm not a furry. I'm just a xenophobe. What the fuck? Why did you get
I'm
that?
just a xenophile. I don't know.
Hold on. I'm on my knees going over here.
Avali's. Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Avali. I like
see.
Avali's.
A volley these nuts.
Then why don't you have an
Avali?
Avali?
He does have
I
an
do.
Avali.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Alright, I'm gonna write someone new. Fuck it. We're gonna find someone new that's on VR chat. Let's see. Furry.
I do that all the time.
Must be a furry, otherwise it's illegal.
Yeah. I try to do it in English too because I notice there's a lot of Spanish for VR chat streamers now.
There's a lot of
It's confusing.
Spanish streamers. Like the Spanish streamers are like the biggest on the platform.
Right, but they're all in VR chat now, and I was looking at it, I'm like, holy crap! There's like 1 million new streamers in VR chat, and they're all in Spanish.
Meow, 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 meow. You know what? This person looks cool. They have a cute avatar. It looks like Foxy Paws, I think. So we're gonna rate this person. I have no idea who they are. I think I already rated before. But
You're in the middle of an ad.
I'm in a fucking ad. Oh my god.
12 seconds.
I will stream tomorrow. We will have a You Laugh You Lose chat. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna say hi to you personally. I'm not gonna be here in my knees and being an idiot. Where are you, chat? Ugh. Oh. Oh. Hi. Oh, I hope you like the surprise. Few new avatars, the glove thingy. I'm happy. I was testing it today, and I think I'm gonna use it permanently. Unless something goes like fucky wucky, I think I'm gonna use this as my like permanent like VR thing, cause it's so freeing. Like I like it. It's exciting. Yeah. But yeah, tomorrow You Laugh You Lose. I'm trying to have a guest
Snowy,
that
I broke it.
Oh, did you broke him? You broke him. But yeah, goodbye, chat. I love you. Mwah. And give some love to the next streamer. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna try to not die now. Bye, Red. Bye, Slayer. Bye, everyone. If you're here, if you're a lurker, goodbye. Enjoy the new streamer. Goodbye, chat. Oh, I hate having a job and a life. I cannot stream for like 7 hours a day anymore. Give more. There you go. That's how I end.
Yes, I'm here.
I gotta bring it back. I gotta bring it back, bro. 5. Oh. Come on, go on.
You killed me!